California. I can see both you guys. I think we got this organized just about right. I can move it a little bit more so people don't have to put up with my face. But it's another edition of Freeman Adventures from 22nd Street Landing. Folks, it's great to be with you. And I've got two special guests who are going to teach you how to throw the iron today. And it couldn't be two better guys, two good friends of mine, and two super, oh, let me turn this down, I'm sorry. Two super guys that know how to throw the iron. Sam De La Torre, it's great to see you, Sam. How are you?
Doing good. How you doing, Phil?
Well, you and I, my wife's starting to think I got something going on with you. We're meeting up too many times.
Don't let her go down that road.
Yeah, really. And Jeff Yoemans, the 540 Slingers Club. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Are you
any better?
Are you ready for this?
I sure am.
Are you guys ready for Sunday?
Let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, right?
Yeah.
Now, we'll go through everything that we're going to do on Sunday. And, of course, out there, all you great folks, Ruben, Dave, Kai Fish Killer, somebody had a beer, Abdul, he's got a beer going and he's watching.
Right on.
So any questions you have, just fire them in here. But here, I want to start it out like this. Either one of you two. I'll start with Sam and then we'll go to Jeff. What is so special about throwing the iron as opposed to putting a bait on? Well, what's the difference? What's the excitement? What's the attraction? What's it all about?
Well, I mean, I think for me at least, it's growing up Southern California fishing. The guys that I looked up to, the guys that were the better fishermen.
Yeah.
They could throw the iron. And I think that at a very young age, I just was very impressed by that notion that if you're gonna be one of the guys that
One of the boys.
yeah, you had to do that. And I think it was a rite of passage maybe in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I think as I've gotten older, I really just learned to love the casting motion, that kind of stuff. It's real personal. I don't really, I mean, there's no contest out there like we were talking about doing this contest, and I'm like, well, I guess, but that's never really been a thing for me. Although there's always going to be that, kind of underneath everything that, when someone's casting, you want to at least cast as far as they are. And,
Yeah.
and if they're all casting, you're like, oh man, you're not going to stop fishing over it. But at the same time, that's in your mind, like, man, that guy can really cast, and you admire that person. Like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Usually it's a crew member. They grab your rod. Hey, Sam, let me try your rod out. You're like, God damn it, man, you just cast like 30 yards longer than I've been doing this all day long, man.
I know.
But there is something to that. I think there is something to where it's doing something that not everybody can do. I think that there's something to that. But then also too, when you do hook fish on the iron, the anticipation of it happening, I think that there's just nothing like it, So I think to me, and maybe that doesn't describe it well because there's a lot of things that aren't nothing like. You can say that about a lot of things, but it's just an anticipation. I don't know if it's just a matter of the experience of getting the bite or waiting for the bite, but I always feel like every single cast I'm going to get bit, and just that feeling of excitement. There's just nothing else I can do.
And I feel like Jeff is dying to answer this question. I maybe I'm wrong, but is it that primal, like, there's a like you're winding the jig and then all of a sudden something grabs and it's that primal, like, right?
Yeah.
What is it about it that you love so much?
For me,
Everybody up here is starting to tell us what they love, but go ahead.
For me, I'd say it was. I was used to just going out doing the sculpin trips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And having one of the slower days, I watched one of the deckhands come out, pick up his jig stick, he threw an iron, and caught a calico bigger than anything else that anybody else was catching on their dropper loop setups.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, I have to learn how to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just been that from then on.
Yeah.
It's for me, the bait fishing is you're waiting for the fish to bite, where throwing a surface iron, you're causing that fish to react.
Yeah.
It's kind of a I fooled you type of thing. I got the best of you.
I kind of, and this may sound silly to you, but sometimes when I'm throwing the iron and catching lots of fish, I'm like, and I'm not getting all screwed up with that bait and dirty and screwed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like clean, and it's really cool. Look, let me read a couple things. Like Ruben Lopez says, it's the tail coming out of the water, the wahoo jumping out and flying after it eats the iron. I mean, all those things.
Yeah.
It is that visual thing, right?
Yes, it is.
If you got an iron swimming across the surface and blow us up on it,
Yep.
nothing like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Don't you know that one iron fish is worth at least 10 bait fish?
Here, here.
For sure.
You agree with that?
I'm
Yeah,
all
that's for
about
sure,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather catch one on the iron.
All right, well, everybody's agreeing with you. You know, when I was a kid, I was on the Redondo Special, and there was a guy named Howard Warbase. And he was an old deckhand. He was the guy that said to me when I was 12 years old, you want to scrub this boat and you can go fishing for free? And I thought, this is it. I've gone to heaven. I know what heaven is now. But he would throw a pep jig. Earl Pace, you'd probably know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Earl Pace used to make those.
Pearl and Earl Pace.
I love those things.
Yeah,
And he'd throw, most of the time it was a purple and black. I don't even know what number it was, but you know the one with the indentation?
Number 5.
That's
yeah.
the 5. I
Number
love
5,
that
yeah.
jig. Man, that thing just, yeah, it swims so good. And just watching Howard, man, he'd frickin' throw that thing 100 miles, and same thing. I was like, I got to do that. He's catching bass, barracuda, yellowtail. He's never walking back to the bait tank, doesn't have to go pick a bait, doesn't have to do any of that. So those are all things I think that make jig fishing. And then people out there, they're definitely going to want to do that. So what's more important, accuracy or distance or both? And I'll ask both of you guys.
I would say accuracy is probably most important at the end of the day. But I think that if you strive for distance and just get better at that over the years, it's easier to be accurate. You know, because you're not overstressing. Like once you do have to make an accurate cast, that if you're making a 60 or 70 yard cast all day long, and then the fish are at 40 yards, that's going to be a lot easier to make that 40 yard accurate cast. So I think if you're always striving for distance, but then when the time arises, you know, you do have to make an accurate, you'll probably be better at it because you're well within your range. So both in a way. You know, I think accuracy at the end of the day is going to hook you more fish. But I think if you always strive for distance, when you do need the accurate cast, you'll probably be better at it.
Yeah. And Jeff, why do you have to be? What are you aiming at? And for the guy that doesn't understand, I mean, listening to Sam and thinking, accuracy. What is? You know, I'm just throwing a jig. What are you throwing?
It can be where you see the birds working. It can be an area where you see the fish puddling, or even boiling, depending on what state the fish are at that
You've
point.
got to be observant, right?
Yes.
You've really got to pay attention. That little dip of a bird, there's a fish there, right?
Yep.
And you throw on that, and you see it all the time, right? So being observant is super important, right?
That's one of the biggest parts about it, and I think that's what makes jig fishermen usually the top dogs on the boat when it comes to catching.
Yeah, and this bluefin thing, there's a lot of these fishermen taking on the jigs, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a little different kind of.
It really is, though, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's kind of.
I mean, I know this probably sounds negative almost. It's probably closer to rock cutting than it is to yellowtail fishing.
I hate to say it. You know, Alex,
like that.
Alex, the intern, the kid that works for us, he was thrown on the Malahini for 4 hours, and I was videotaping, right? And I go, give me that right now. And I got luckier than hell. But I took it, and Bill Wilkerson was watching me. I go like this, and Alex turned around, walked back to the bait tank because he was so disgusted. And it was just saying, I wasn't doing anything. And then I just felt it go zzz, and I went, here you go. And he goes, what? How did you do that? I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
You know, it was sinking. It got bit. I did throw it out where I saw some fish earlier, so maybe that had something to do with it. And he lost it. So, all right. Let's see. I actually caught a yellowfin tuna kai fish killer in La Paz on a killer jig Pep Clone 5. Have you heard of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy started making those. Yeah.
Randy Penny?
Yeah.
Does he have the molds?
Uh-huh.
Why doesn't he go? Why didn't he do that? I love those things.
He did for a while, but obviously, the rods are so busy making the rods, I don't know if he has too much time to, do the jigs. Jigs is pretty labor intensive. He was doing it old school, grinding them himself and painting them and polishing them, everything himself. Well, not himself, but, at the factory.
Yeah.
And so, there's just the demand on the rods is so high. I don't think
He doesn't have time.
He doesn't have time.
Yeah, I got you. All right, we got to talk about our event. We're not going to do that quite yet, but I am going to mention that this Sunday, 8 to 11, we'll be at Recreation Park, and where the casting pond is. We're not actually going to be using the casting pond. We're going to be out in the park. And what is it? What's the plan? What are we doing? What are we?
First, if you want to Google it, it's Long Beach Casting Club.
Yeah.
So if you Google Long Beach Casting Club, you'll get the directions and you know how to get there. So that's an easy way. But what was your question again?
What? No, I didn't mean to confuse you. What is this? Who is this for? Who's welcome to come down, and what are they going to gain from coming down? Other than, of course, meeting all of us, which will be a complete disappointment, right?
Yeah.
So what are they going to get out of this?
So I mean, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean,
So
anybody-
novice?
Yeah, anybody, you know, can come. The idea was kind of built around when we had our podcast is, you know, what's your favorite jig stick? What's the best jig stick? And at the shop, that's a question we get every day.
Yeah.
You know, what's the best jig stick? 9 foot, 10 foot. You know, well, I use this, or you know, my cousin told me to use that. Whatever. What do you think's better? And the hard part about it is that you really can't answer that question. You know, there really isn't a best jig stick. You know, I mean, we all have our favorites, but you know, what works for you is going to be different than works for somebody else.
Yes.
But even furthermore, what works for you right now might be different than what works for you 3 years from now when you have more experience. You might find 3 years from now that once you've kind of gone and fished a lot, the rod that you liked 3 years ago is not the one you like now.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
find that quite a bit. So I think finding the best rod, you won't find that until you do it for a while. So
We're going to have a whole bunch of rods there for
so
people
one,
to use,
one of the
right?
things we wanted to do is that, you know, the best answer, and which is an impossible answer, is to tell the guy, what you have to do is buy 12 jig sticks, go use them for 3 years, and then in 3 years you'll tell me which one's the best.
Yeah.
Which is an impossible answer, right?
Good for sales, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So what I was thinking is, you know, why don't we try to assemble as many jig sticks as possible in one place, and at least you're able to try them for a little while. It's
Yeah.
still not going to replicate 3 years or however long it's going to be. Maybe it's 6 months, or everybody's different. how
But
long
you
they
might
take.
pick one up and go, oh my God, this is just not for
I
me.
used to want this rod so much, and
Yeah.
I don't like it.
But
you know?
man, this thing,
Right, maybe something you didn't think about.
Yeah,
you know, and
exactly.
so to expect someone to spend $400 or $500 on a rod just to try it, I mean, that's kind of a
That's
tall.
asking too much.
Asking a lot, you know.
how many rods are we going to have, guys? About
I'm bringing 6 to 7
Yeah.
different types of rods.
different types.
So that's the other part of it too. I think what we wanted to do is to invite people to bring rods that they don't mind somebody else using. So the idea is that if I had a 100J and you had a 90J, but I wanted to try one out, and if we bought both of the rods, then you would try the one and I'd try the other.
Yeah.
So we want to make it so that we're able to try other people's rods.
That's
so,
great.
So we want to assemble as many rods as possible. I don't think that us three here were going to try to bring all the possible rods out there, because even though we have a lot of rods, we don't have them all.
Yeah, right.
We wanted to have people bring a rod that they don't mind somebody else using.
Yeah.
And so that way that somebody else can try that rod out. So that's really what we want to do is make sure that we assemble as many rods. So we invite people to bring a rod, and also maybe bring a rod that they're using now. Say maybe they're using a 6480 CalStar, and they're like, I like it, but I think there's something better out there. So maybe they can compare it. So they can try their rod and then try somebody else's 690J or whatever.
Right.
And think, wow, you know what, actually my 6480 is fine. You know, that 690J, I didn't even like it.
Yeah.
You know, or vice versa. Maybe he will like the rod. So I would say bring the rod you're using now, even if it's not something nobody else is going to use, but at least you can use it as a reference. And then if you do have a jig stick that you don't mind somebody else using, and I know there's at least 8 million jig sticks available out in Southern California.
Yeah, no
So,
kidding.
And I feel like we've sold half of them in the last 5 years. But so that would be the deal is for you to bring a rod somebody else can use, so that guys can have an experience with many rods.
Yeah, you feel the same way?
Yeah,
Definitely, right?
yeah. We as a club, whenever we get newer people, they come out and, oh, I've never fished a 540. Well, let's meet up and put one in your hand.
Yeah, right. And that's the purpose of this, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and when I heard Sam say, you know, the best way to do this is to let people have the jig stick in their hand and be able to do a side-by-side comparison, I said, bingo, that's what we've been trying to do as a club.
That's great.
So I immediately responded, so let's
That's
do
how we
this.
all came together
Yeah,
on
Exactly,
this, right?
exactly. All over surface irons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott Grant has a question. Anybody out there has a question, please let us know. Scott wants to know, he says, I buy a lot of vintage jigs. Should I change the rusted hooks or spray the old steel with WD-40 and let them fly? What's the answer? What do you say, Sam?
My experience has been, I just leave them. You know, unless it's a very, very definite, like these things are rusting through or something like that.
Yeah.
It's usually
Like
just
they're gonna
surface-
break or something, yeah.
they're just surface rust. And one of the things that I find is one of the things that I was doing is I would change it to a heavier duty hook. And you think, okay, well, if I straighten the one hook out, I'm gonna put a stronger hook on. Well, what I found on occasion, not always, but actually probably more often than not, is that putting that heavier hook changed the swimming action of the jig, and a jig that was working really good and getting a lot of fish, and then finally maybe a deckhand had to like dig it out and mess up the hook. Well, I would put a heavier hook on, and then it wouldn't swim good anymore. I'm like, God, I have to go back to a lighter weight hook. So sometimes we get too caught up in putting a super heavy hook on there, and some jigs will swim fine with it, but I think a lot of times if you keep a lighter weight hook on it, and just the Mustad 30, I think it's a 3561 DT, the stock hook that was probably on there, it's probably the best hook because you don't want to weigh down the end of the jig. So
You agree with that?
I agree with what Sam's saying. Keep it as close to what the manufacturer put on there.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just blindly put that hook on.
Right.
Yeah, right. They've measured everything about it,
Yeah.
right?
And if anything, take a file to it, make sure it's sharp, and fish the jig.
Yeah. I want to get into different species of fish and everything, but as usual, we have a lot of questions starting to come in here. Dave Thompson wants to know where the albacore are. You want me to? I'll give you my latest.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you, man. So I'm not sure who this is. I think it's J.J. Garrettson, who used to
Yes.
run the Apollo. He runs a commercial albacore boat called the Pikey. I actually have not been following this. Bob Osborne is my albacore expert. He pours over stats. He goes through the whole thing. Of course, he blew it last year, but so keep that in mind. He's watching a jig boat, and it was headed to the date line, which is over 1,000 miles. Mm-hmm. Well, he's been stopped at 600 miles off like San Francisco, but way off. And so he's watching and wondering, it could be mechanical screw up, could be he found some fish. Mm-hmm. If he found fish there, that's like on a path or here. At the same time, this is the albacore dope that I have right now. I'm going to do an albacore. Tommy Holland, who's a captain, he ran boats for many, many years, sent me an SST the other day, and he goes, will you freaking look at that hard edge from the outside right into the butterfly bank. And it's this hard edge of cold water bumping into this 63-degree freaking albacore water. So I go, okay, yeah, I like that too. Now on the downside, all the models that we were talking about suggesting a strong La Nina have backed off, and this is the time of year when that happens. And they're looking now for something that's going to be kind of just, zero, like a La Nina, much like last year. But Osborne said that is without the warm water bump that we had last year. So it's cool, and he thinks we're going to see more and more albacore. We're getting close. I mean, there could be albae right now. And Tommy seems to think somebody should go out to the butterfly and give it a shot. He said the new Loanne, he was watching them, and he was out that way. But he's not looking for albacore. They're fishing bluefin. I don't know if there was bluefin out there or what. So there you are, Dave. That's the most I know, and I'm going to keep on it. N6 says, and this is a great question, this weekend on Sunday, are we going to cover jig fishing etiquette? And if you don't mind me adding, safety. Like, you never take your eye off that jig, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to cover everything. If you're brand new to it, we'll take you from start and teach you everything: how to set up your rod, where you want your reel positioned, how to adjust cast control depending on what type of reel you have to maximize your cast, and work with your form. I think first and foremost we'll try to get you so you're casting well and you're not backlashing, and then after that you can work for your distance.
Are you cool with people throwing iron in the stern? Are you okay with that, or should they always be in the bow? I mean, when I was a kid, we all threw iron in the stern.
Yeah.
You kind of paid attention, you watched, but you were always throwing.
I have to be cool with it. I do it all the time.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
But I mean, you
gotta
do
be
hear
extra
people like
careful.
going, well, hey, what are you throwing? Go up in the bow and do that. But yeah, you do have to be extra careful.
You got to do it on a boat where the crew knows you, and they're okay with it. Obviously, you're not there all day long, but you're gonna pick and choose your chances. I mean, so it's not something that you can just post up back there. And this is gonna be my jig fishing spot. I mean, if 15 guys back there, and they're all at the bait tank. You got to move away. You're going to be second in line for sure down in the start.
Yeah.
100%.
Michael Richardson, great question. 30, 40, or 50 pound on the surface iron. Jeff, I'll throw that your way. What do you think?
I'd go 40.
50
is fine if
40.
you want to, if you're out in an area where you're worried about abrasion or a kelp, but 40.
Do you ever use fluorocarbon when you're throwing the iron because it's
never.
less for the abrasion thing, or no? It's not necessary, right? Yeah. Greg was here from Opsin. Somebody asked that.
Opsin. Yeah, I use that.
No. He actually said that fluorocarbon. He thinks
Yeah.
that fluorocarbon guys sometimes they're like, oh, of course you use it when you're, and he's like, no, you don't need it.
No.
You just be
reaction
honest
rate,
with
yeah,
people.
yeah.
So that was what he was saying. So you guys both say 40?
I say 40.
I'd
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
40 pound mono.
Unless you're fishing a superior grade of fish and maybe it demands 50 or too heavy. What do you think?
There's times, Guadalupe maybe, there's certain occasions where there's just some big fish around, maybe, but I used to fish a lot of 50. I used to fish, growing up, I fished a 4.0 Yellowtail Special and
Yeah.
533 Newell, which is the same size, and then we fish 50 because it's a big reel. That's just what they told you had to do. Fish, maybe fishing the Cortez, those big yellows over there, I'd fish 50, but over the years, I found that I just kind of really practiced and improved my knots. And that's really where you would get failure was at the knot, pulling real hard. So I think once I got my knot down to where I felt super confident in it, I've caught so many fish on 40 pound, pulling as hard as I can. I just don't think I can pull any harder. And so to me, there's no benefit to fishing any heavier line.
When I was a kid, Sam, Joe Schilling was running the Redondo Special, and he goes, he was watching me pulling a fish. He goes, take that 12 pound right now, tie it to that cleat.
Yeah.
And pull as hard. I couldn't break it.
Yeah.
12 pound.
Right.
So 40, he wanted me to know how hard you could pull. He goes, you're not pulling hard enough on your fish. You can pull hard on that.
I have seen on the 40 pound even, like you catch a couple nice fish, your line gets kind of like a little messed up. It almost turns like milky white, and it just starts to change. I'm not sure the structure. I don't know. Couldn't really give you the scientific part of it. So I have seen line wear. You have a good day of fishing, but you just change your line. I mean, the 40 just casts better too.
Yeah, it does,
that's
right?
That's the big thing too. To me, that's a sweet spot.
Different when you're yo-yo on the iron, right? You can
right.
go to the really heavy stuff, right?
And I think for the most part, we're talking about surface iron.
That's what he asked. Yeah.
Yo-yo iron. That's kind of a different.
Yeah,
thing,
total different animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. What's a memory of a fish you caught on the iron that just stuck with you? Did you have one? Like, was it on the San Diego this last trip, or was it a more distant memory?
It was probably a couple years ago on the Aloha Spirit at Anacapa.
Don't tell me you got a sea bass on the surface iron.
No. It's actually a very common one to get on the surface iron. We were catching barracuda every cast.
Yeah.
And it was myself and 3 other friends were at the bow of the Aloha Spirit, and we all decided we were going to find out if color really mattered.
Oh, okay.
Or if the jig really mattered.
Yeah.
So we all had a different jig model tied on with completely different colors. And we were all just hooking up every cast, one right after another.
And you concluded from that it didn't matter?
It was the action, and they wanted to bite.
Yeah. I mean, my college professor was a big fisherman, Pete Hoffman, used to say, the reason they say they're biting the blue and white is because you watch. Everyone on that boat is throwing a blue and white.
Yeah.
If they were all throwing a pink and
whatever,
if they'd be biting that.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I guess, huh?
I think part of it, I got to imagine there are certain days where maybe they are eating something better than something else. I mean, fish aren't like this very static thing. They have different days, maybe things that they're eating.
Yeah.
Maybe water. I really couldn't tell you exactly, the formula as to what to use, but it doesn't seem to matter as much as we think, for sure. Yeah, but I'm sure there are days where maybe a darker color, maybe a lighter color, but not specifically this color mint or this color blue or the stripes are on this side. I don't know about that.
I'm going to ask you about your favorite memory, too, in just a moment, but we have some more questions. I'll tell you one of mine. I was on the Ensenada Clipper. I made this cast. I think I've told you guys this, maybe, but I made this long cast, big bird's nest, and I'm like, gosh darn, And then I start whining. I go, I'm snagged on frickin' kelp or whatever, and up comes this frickin' 35-pound halibut. Pure talent. You know? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. All right, Dave Thompson, Spectra to mono or mono only? When I think he's talking about surface iron. What say you guys?
I like a little bit of braid, but I want to fish the mono.
You do?
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah.
Really?
So I think it's whatever you can cast. You know, there are
Freaking braid's kind of a pain sometimes,
yeah, there's
right?
some guys who could do it though. I mean, I can't do it, but I've seen guys do it, so I know it's doable.
Yeah.
I can't do it. You know.
What do you get a bird's nest?
Yeah,
Or-
you get a bird nest, and it's.
No, so
you know,
it's just not me, thank God.
Yeah. Well, when you're casting mono, you can feel the bird nest coming on.
Correct.
And you can kind of like correct it.
Yeah.
With Spectra, it happens so fast, you can't. And so to me, I think that adjustment, that fine tuning of your thumb as you're mid cast, you just can't do that with Spectra. But I've seen people do it, so I know it's possible. So if you can do it, that's fine. I don't think it matters one way or another as far as hooking fish, but so yeah, I mean, I fish mono, straight mono.
Manuel Hicks says, hi to everybody. Kai Fish Killer, does the single fixed jig get bit as good as treble hooks? Any single fixed models you guys can recommend?
As far as fixed hooks that I'd recommend,
Yeah. And, well, first of all, do they get bit better than a treble?
I wouldn't say they get better.
Yeah.
I think they get fish or hooked up just equally.
Equally, okay.
I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's just not that many available anymore. I don't even think that's something. Yeah, that'd be hard. That'd be hard to really. You can you go to a shop and pick up the 7X single hook and a 45 single.
It's hard to find.
They're just not available.
Yeah.
I mean, and they didn't make them in a lot of different styles. You know, I mean, a single fixed hook jig, as far as I understand it, at least when I used them, was barracuda fishing, and it was really to release a short barracuda. That's why you used it, because the barracuda is so slimy. So you just turn the jig upside down and it would fall off.
Yeah, it's great, right? For
So
that.
that was the reason I used them. I mean,
That's why I hate
Yeah.
fishing a frickin' like sometimes I'm not knocking Lucky Craft, but in the surf, you know, you frickin' hang a ray, then you got to deal with that, you know, and the frickin' ray is trying to nail you. And speaking of that, geez, Bob Osborne caught this round stingray. You know, those little bastards like that. Usually, this thing was like that. It had a spike on it that was that frickin' big this morning. I spent my morning at 5:30 this morning digging up sandworms. You know, lovely. So, but yeah, I mean, I get it. You know, turn it upside down.
Yeah.
So you were going to recommend though some single hook jigs. Were you going to do
I
that?
was going to say I like the Tatty C.
Uh-huh.
And then this one's a little more specific to the species.
Yeah.
I like the Tatty Y too if you're just going to go out and have a fun day fishing bonito.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same thing, you know, the bonito are pretty toothy, but you can get them off that single hook Y2 very easily.
Chef Jason is smoking bonito tomorrow, and I'm going to go, he's going to do some great recipe. So that will be coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, this is a nice segue to say that after Sunday's park, we're going to go over to Jason's place on 4th Street called Scholb's, and really looking forward to that. That starts at 11:30 and goes until probably midnight and beyond. Sam will be dancing on the tables by the end of that night, right?
I'm booked for that, right?
Yeah, I've already got you down, man. You can't get out of this. All right, let's see. Single strand wire for better action. Boys, Sam, you start.
You know what? Yeah, I haven't done it too much. I've only done it wahoo fishing with the surface iron. Yeah, I suppose it it's something that's an old school thing. I think that I don't think it hurts. I mean, I know a lot of guys have caught a lot of fish on it. I should probably try it a little bit more, but to be truthfully honest with you, it's not something that I haven't explored it too much.
Yeah.
Locally for yellowtail.
Yeah. I know when I was a kid, Rick Evinger from Marina Del Rey wired all his jigs and was and he always felt like that single hook swam better. I think that, I don't know that it's true, but it certainly was in the heads of the old school guys.
It is a distinctive swimming action.
Yeah.
It is different swimming action. So just like the color thing, I'm pretty sure there are days where that swimming action is what they want to look at.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Tons of questions still coming in. I got to mention a few sponsors really quick. Opsin Fluorocarbon, www.opsinusa.com. Put in FA at checkout, and you'll get a note from Greg. I love to drive him crazy because he has to write all these notes. 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California. We're talking to Michael Morrison, guys, about coming here with our next jig workshop so we can see the jig swim. And if Michael doesn't agree to let us do it,
Do it anyway.
yeah, we're going to do it anyway. Hey, yeah, you're right. How'd you read my mind? Ventura Sport Fishing. Man, they got their problems up there. All those guys with this damn wind. Maybe by Friday they're going to get out. I talked to Cody Rogers. He runs the Island Spirit. He's praying, but what a great operation. What a great bunch of guys. Customer service. And they've got sea bass crawling all over. We were just down on the Amigo, all of us. Yeah. And they were talking about all the sea bass up there. And by the way, hey, while we're talking about, well, how's the Amigo look?
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
Wow.
So last time I was on that boat, I mean, it's always been a cool boat, but man, that looks like a totally different. It would hardly hard to recognize.
And it's ready to go. They've got their first trip Thursday night.
Yep.
Can't wait. Our first trip is going to be June 15th when the white sea bass limit goes to 3. A 2-day trip. We're sold out on that one. Your first trip is?
May 20th and 21st overnight.
That's going to be great. So, yeah, that boat looks absolutely great. Island Fishing Tackle in the beautiful city of Carson, California. Who's that? It wouldn't be this guy, would it? Yeah,
Sounds familiar.
I think it is. Fish Taco Chronicles magazine. I don't know. Oh, I took that and put it somewhere else. It's gone. Just look out there. Sean, Fish Taco Chronicles magazine. Daiwa. If you're going to fish with a rod and reel, make it a Daiwa rod and reel. And a reminder that this Sunday, our casting contest. Oh, I've got a new sponsor I've got to mention. Tomorrow night, I will be at Hoff's Hut in Torrance, California with the South Bay Anglers Club. Looking forward to that. I'll take you through the whole journey I went through from China to Friedman Adventures. So that should be a lot of fun. And a new sponsor, Saturday, June 11th, the Michelada Throwdown. I know you're going to be there, Sam, at the OC Fair from 2 to 7 p.m. They're going to have performances, DJs, vendors, Micheladas, of course, and lots more. That is, of course, at OC Fairgrounds, and we really appreciate those guys coming on board with us. That sounds like a lot of fun. I might have to show up. Of course, I'll be drinking coffee, but it sounds like a lot of fun. All right, let me get back to some questions here, and guessing, there's no easy answer to this, but if I needed to get the most successful casting rod for yellowtail surface iron, what's the recommendation for a medium skilled angler? I bet you're a better angler than you think, DJ, but what do you guys say? Is it one of those things? That's a hard question, right?
You know what?
You should come Sunday and try out a bunch of rods.
I would say, from what I've seen, that I feel like it's kind of an equalizer rod, that anybody seems to be able to cast. You got to have some casting ability. Maybe the UC Reaper or the 9E.
Yeah.
That seems to be a pretty moderate, easy to cast rod, somewhat parabolic, lightweight, so a guy that is not going to get overwhelmed by the weight of a big, maybe glass rod, possibly. Maybe that would be where I would start.
Yeah.
But once again, you're going to probably go through a lot of rods before you get to that one that fits you the best.
Yeah.
But I think that's one that I would put in the hands of most people and feel like they can probably cast. It may not be their favorite, but almost everybody would be able to make a pretty good cast with it.
Are we going to have one of those on Sunday?
We better.
Yeah, of course we are. What are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure I got one of my guys bringing one.
Okay, perfect. That'll be great. Yeah, because that's a question that a lot of people have. Richie Rich, here's a question that you and I have been talking about. How about a spinning reel casting contest?
That's a good one.
Or contest, or just, what Rich is opening the door to is, can you fish the iron with a spinning reel?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No stigma?
None.
Don't feel bad about it?
Nope.
You either?
If it gets the job done, do it.
Yeah.
I would say that jig fishing, one of the things about surface iron fishing is that there is kind of a certain rhythm as you're winding the jig. I would imagine that would be the only thing that would be maybe a change to get used to. Maybe you might have to kind of get used to winding it a little different with a spinning reel, just because it's there's a few more things going on. But as far as the casting, I can't see that being any different. And obviously fighting a fish wouldn't be any different. So no, I don't think that's a problem at all.
I have no problem with it. None at all. However, I do have a question for both you guys. I need you to be honest with me. Would you do it?
Hell yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Would you?
No, because I'm not proficient with spinning gear at all.
Okay.
I'll stick to what I know, and
I like
what
Sam's
does need
attitude.
does.
I'm going to frickin' do it. I want to
So-
try it because everybody's going to give you, they're going to give you crap on the boat. I mean, the guys that
Yeah.
know you and
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I thought you guys were the big, right?
Yeah. So,
But I want to do it.
I think there's part of it too. So okay, so there's a casting and there's a picking the good jigs and how many jig rods do you have and how many jig reels you have and all that stuff. But like we were saying, like Jeff was saying, the guys who are good jig fishermen has nothing to do with the rod and the reel. It's about being observant and knowing when to cast and where to cast. That's the whole secret.
Yep.
Has nothing to do with the rod and the reel. What kind of
Now,
line
the
you
fish
use,
kid doesn't know,
you know,
right?
whether your jigs are this and that, or it's a 1980s, jig or a 1990s jig or whatever. None of that.
Yeah.
If you know where to cast, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
So what does that have to do with what you're casting with? Nothing. So I don't see any issue with it. Yeah, it's a different experience, and you'd have to go out and buy one because most of the guys that are experienced jig fishermen probably don't have a spinning rig. You'd have to go spend the money. But as far as being able to do it, not one bit of problem. Not
Yeah.
one.
Well, and if you have, it allows you to kind of jump ahead in the,
Yeah.
it takes some
Yeah.
time with a conventional. But with a
It
spinning,
does.
it takes time, but at least you can
Yeah.
cast the thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I bet after a trip, you're throwing it pretty good, right?
Now the other thing too with spinning gear, now this is kind of a little bit of a departure from a surface iron. There's other types of lures
Yeah.
that probably work better with the spinning gear.
Oh, really?
Popper.
Poppers,
Yeah,
stick baits.
that's true.
And so those lures, if on that day they want to bite that type of lure, you might be the top dog because you do have a spinning gear.
Yes.
So I definitely would want to be more versatile as far as your approach.
Kai Fishkiller is saying it depends. He's talking about what kind of rod they could buy. He's talking about it depends upon how heavy the jig you want to throw is, and all those things, right? Adding in all that. We got a ton of questions coming in, boys. When it comes to surface iron, it's what I live for: top water action. He said. Brandon Gomez. Brandon, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Braid or straight mono for surface iron pound test. He may not have been here for that. Can we answer that again? We're going to say 40 pound
Yeah.
and mono, right?
Mono, yeah.
You guys like mono, yeah.
Yes.
Now the spinning gear might be able to let you use braid if that's something you wanted to do.
There you go.
Yeah.
I fish braid to mono when I fish the surf. It casts further.
Yeah, cast.
There's no doubt about it. And even though, when I first started, I've told you guys this, I was like, a spinning reel, but man, I wouldn't do anything. In the surf,
Right.
it's so
You're not
effective.
going to cast any kind of conventional gear like you do surf gear with that type of presentation.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Let's see, Kai Fishkiller again, Brandon, I do it with braid, but definitely a learning curve. Easier to lose jigs, distance, really the same. Brandon Gomez, 40 pound, yeah. Michael Richardson, okay. Steve Ennis, quick clips, yay or nay? Pros and cons of using them. Steve, that is a great question. You better be there on Sunday, by the way. I got a ton of people watching the show tonight. Boys, you guys kick butt, let me tell you. Pros and cons of the clips. What do you say?
So in the past, we would always talk about not using a swivel, because it's obviously if you're going to change your jig, you got to cut it off and tie a new knot.
Yeah.
So people were trying to get away from having to do that. So we would always say that the swivel would take away or kind of muffle the action, so to speak, of the jig.
Yeah.
So we always tie direct. With the quick clip, it seems like there's a much higher acceptance to that. I haven't used them myself, but I know a lot of anglers, a lot of customers who do use them and seem to do just fine with them. So maybe we were wrong about the swivels. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seems like they work fine. I haven't seen somebody who's told me that they couldn't get bit because of them.
Yeah.
I prefer to tie direct. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be that big a deal.
think
Tying a knot's pretty quick.
I think I see you shaking your head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Direct?
I prefer tying direct, and,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's even really that the quick clip is a problem, or it's more the fact that an angler with a quick clip is going to be switching out jigs.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get bit this time.
Yeah,
They'll run back to
yeah,
the
yeah.
tackle box.
Boom.
They'll change another one.
Yeah.
Instead of just
Sticking with
getting
it.
at the rail and being persistent.
Yeah. And you feel like that's more effective, just being persistent?
Yeah, I've seen on a couple of trips people just one or two casts. Oh, didn't get bit. Back to the tackle box, and they were all people using. The
And
clip.
I think what happens is that kind of mentality of doing that, maybe it just promotes just giving up, because jig fishing is it's something that you have to kind of commit to, and you might think, well, that just sounds like boring or like, man, like I'm gonna waste my time.
Yeah.
But it takes that type of perseverance, and I think that a quick clip maybe, like what Jeff is saying, it kind of promotes kind of just going through the process. I tried 4 jigs, forget it, and I think there's kind of you got to stick to it. This kind of you have to have when you do that.
David Thompson, I have a UCR GP, the 10, that's deckhand style, and I'm worried that the reel will move a little with a big fish. What do you think?
I don't know if you got the right clamp.
Yeah?
Yeah. It depends on what reel you have. You have to ask him what reel does he have.
Hey, if you get a chance, let us know what reel you got. You can use that 50 to 65 pound is where he's talking about using.
Braid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did Jeff ever work on a sport boat? Jeff,
No, I did not.
you're in the Navy.
Yep.
Yeah. How many
worked-
years?
6 years.
Uh-huh. And so you were going to say you worked what?
For Uncle Sam on a boat.
Yeah, right. I know. I see some of the posts you put up about like the stuff you do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think they're funny, man.
I had a great time.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, thank you for your service.
No,
You know,
my pleasure.
Did something
and
that
my
I-
honor to serve.
you're the man. I'll tell you. Kai Fish Killer, Dave Thompson, learn from Eric's Tackle in Ventura. Put some wraps of friction tape. It will stop the reel from moving. Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll work. Yeah.
Or even the cork that they use on handles.
Mm-hmm. Cork
If you
tape.
put a little bit of that
yeah.
between your reel clamp, and it'll
I smell another tips and tricks video coming
There we
on.
go.
Absolutely, man. These things are so popular.
Yeah.
You know, you have no idea how thrilled I was when we were down on the Amigo tonight to hear Jeff Jessup, the captain, say,
Yeah.
I don't know the numbers of these rods and reels. You know, I know how to find fish. I know how to put guys on. And I'm like, oh, thank God, because I'm really deficient at that, you know. That's why I have pros on here all the time, you know, so I can just throw it your way. Scott Buchard.
Oh man.
whoa.
Sam is, I don't know if I can use this kind of language. Sam is the best. He bought
what?
actually, I bought a jig bag to give him for his
Oh, yeah,
birthday, and
yeah,
he
yeah.
says he is so happy with that. Sam, this show is fantastic tonight. Thank you. Big Gare, who's a great guy, always commenting on YouTube. It's great to have you here. I have a Shimano TMC 98. Seems too heavy for me. Do you really want to cut the butt? Should I sell it and start over? And if so, with what? Boy, what a question.
Yeah. So those,
Interesting.
Those rods are a little stiff. I think that by heavy heat, I don't think he's talking about physical weight, but more just stiffness, maybe line weight. Heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a little bit stiffer rod. I think with jig fishing, one of the things that you have to try to do as best as possible is adjust yourself to the situation. You know, I mean, sometimes you're fishing on a bow and you're by yourself, and sometimes there's 4 or 5 guys up there, and maybe one rod's going to work and one's not, because now that you don't have the room, you can't drop a jig as far down or something like that. And so I think being versatile is good. So I wouldn't give up on that rod. I would leave it in your quiver so that you can use it as a learning tool for certain types of fishing. There's going to be times where that rod might be good, but I think that what he's probably experiencing, the rod being too stiff, there are softer rods out there, and that'll probably be something he feels a lot more comfortable with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell it though.
Okay. Kai Fish Killer, I use the quick clips. It works as another pivot, lazy version of small additional welded ring, kind of like Kaivo. Is that true?
Yeah. There's some theory to that for sure.
All right, and he doesn't use it to change jigs. All right, Scott Buchard again. What's your favorite jig? Depends on what you want to fish
Probably
for,
a
right?
40, honestly, if I
Teddy
if
45?
I have a 45 that swims good, that one's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Maybe 5X.
Oh, yeah?
that's a good one
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the one that I pull out of my jig bag first.
Uh-huh. And it catches a variety of fish?
I've had no problem catching everything from barracuda to yellowtail.
You ever caught a sea bass on the surface iron?
Negative.
No? You guys haven't done that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I mean, I've caught one on the, I've got a big halibut on the
Yeah,
surface iron.
I got a sheephead on a surf siren with that.
You did?
Even a whitefish.
Really? Yeah, whitefish I might have done, but a sheep's head?
Yeah.
You mean on the
I caught him the
surface?
same way you did.
Oh. Talent fish,
Yeah.
right? Big bird's nest.
Well, I
They're
heard
like,
the
what
story. I was like, let me try this. It worked.
Works every time. That's why you really don't want to use spinning reels, because you don't get those
You
bird's
can't get
nests.
a backlash.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Scott Buchard, we are. All right, we got that. Rod and reels, favorites? Scott wants to know. You guys got one?
Well, my favorite rod is the Seeker 540.
Uh-huh.
and my
That's why the 540 Slingers Club, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I have two reels that I'm really a fan of, and it's the Daiwa Saltiga 30T or the Saltus model, and then the old school Daiwa Sea-Line 40 HV.
Uh-huh.
Those are what I've started with and what I stuck with. So
And you,
those are my
Sam?
go-to.
You know, Sam, I watch people come in the store all the time, and man, I'm really impressed with the customer service I see at Island Fishing Tackle. I'm not saying this because you slipped me that 20 out there. That was nice of you, though, I have to admit. But I mean, really. So when I ask you that question, I know I'm going to get I'm not going to get like, oh boy, we got 10 million of these at the store. Let's sell these. You don't
No,
think that way.
no.
That's why you have such a loyal following too. So what do you have a favorite?
I really don't.
I believe
don't.
that.
Yeah, I really don't. I have a lot of rods that I like, and I think it goes back to the being versatile thing. I think
Yeah.
I can make a lot of different rods work. The reel, I would say, a Trinidad 20 has become my favorite reel over the years. But the rod, I mean, I have quite a few favorites. I mean, everything from a 100J to a 100J Mag to an Alua. 540s are great too. I don't know. I think it's kind of like having a couple of different pairs of shoes. You just kind of like them for a while, then
Yeah.
later on you like something else. I don't know. I mean, but I feel like I can make a lot of different rods work. So I'm not really that hung on one rod. For sure.
Yeah. Scott Buchard, Sam Tackle Show. Anybody have any idea what that means?
No.
No, that makes three of us here.
But I'd watch it if Sam has a tackle show.
Yeah. Pen Fathom 40, Dave Thompson says. Good reel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Oscar Geronimo. We know him, don't we?
He's
From
right-
Island
right
Fishing.
outside, I think.
Is he?
Come in here, man.
Should be fishing.
Hey, Oscar, come in here. We backlashed every reel out here.
Oh no.
I'll see you tomorrow.
They're out there practicing.
They are?
Oh,
They came down there? We
Yeah,
ought to
yeah.
get them to come in here and say hi to everybody. Kai Fish Killer, yes, Frank, I had a similar experience. Dino's a great guy, man. He sent me down to San Quintin, gave me a hot perch spot. I missed it, but we still had a really great time. Dino, it is so good to hear from you. Good evening, guys. I'm old school surface iron fisherman and have many tricked out pins, newels, and pro gears, but most lack drag. So what modern reel would you guys put on your jig sticks? And as always, he's very polite and says thanks. Dino, it's good to hear from you. You want to start, Jeff?
I'd
Same
say
one,
the same one. If you want one completely modern, the newer Daiwa Saltiga Star Drag 35.
And I didn't tell you to say Daiwa, did I?
No.
Oh my God, that is beautiful.
just
Thank
me.
you.
That's
That
just
was that
me.
20 I gave you, right? Make sure you
That's
mention
just
it.
me being a Daiwa fan all these years.
All right, cool. You agree?
Yeah, that die was great.
Yeah.
So I like a little wider reel. So like the 40 would be good for me. It's probably closer to the Trinidad 20.
Uh-huh.
So it'd be either a Shimano Trinidad 16 or 20 or Torium 16 or 20 or a Daiwa Saltist or Saltiga 35 or 40. The other one that we might consider for a guy who's just, trying to get used to this or get his feet wet
Yeah.
is the Seagate. So Daiwa makes a all graphite body conventional reel, same pretty much insides as the Saltiga even. They're
Yeah.
a nice reel, but it's in a graphite body, so it doesn't have some of the rigidity. But I think it's well, it might have gone up price here, but I know last year was $150, and it's
How
a
can
rod
you
that-
beat that?
You can't.
Yeah,
There's
right.
nothing on the market that's going to touch it.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
That's something that people should consider as a Seagate, and they make the same sizes, a 35 and a 40.
We got another pro up here, Roger Beal. Roger, you just like Sam and I. He's caught all kinds of big, giant sand bass after a backlash.
Yes.
Gotta love a guy like that, right? Glenn, how to tune a jig that doesn't want to swim. You can tune a jig, but you can't tune a fish.
No, you can't.
Yeah. What's the answer to that?
Just throw it in the water. Just get rid of it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the way to tune it up?
I mean,
Get a new
how
jig.
many jigs you have, right? I mean,
Oh, more than I can count.
yeah, at least, if you only got one jig, then go buy another jig.
Yeah,
Honestly,
exactly.
yeah.
Or just spend time with it.
There is
figure it out.
There is ways to do it. I mean, you could take some file to it. Honestly, I don't really have the answer to that. Maybe that's why. It would take way too long. You just grab another jig and find one that swims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another question. Hey, wait a minute. There's something wrong tonight. You're not upside down.
Yes.
Well, I don't get it. Normally, when you're on the show, I turn everything upside
You can
down.
Stop the video and turn it into
Yeah, really.
better.
And for those of you who don't know, the last time Sam was here, I had the camera upside down for at least the first half hour, right? It was pretty good. All right, Mondo Redondo. Any truth to Pink? Hey, Mondo, thanks. Any truth to Pink Andy getting bit better inshore? Is there any truth to that?
In a time machine, yeah, you go back to the 80s. That's all we used, you know?
I know, I remember, right?
I don't think so.
All right, Manuel Hicks, what trip would you say is the best bang for your buck for someone on a budget? Of course, one of the Freedman Adventures trips. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
Probably half day, right?
Half
or
day, yeah.
half day, probably, Manuel. If you're just getting into the sport, half day when they're biting. Like you can
biting,
wait
yeah.
and wait for the barracuda to show up and then get all over that.
Although I would say, 22nd Street Landing has 2 great 3/4 day boats. I don't know. To me, those guys probably catch the most fish in all LA, Orange County on the 3/4 day. That's probably going to be where I would go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ruben Lopez, he kind of got off the screen there because we're getting so many questions, but he said, what knot do you guys use? And Ruben, it's always great to see you, my friend. Not when you're tying... San Diego?
You know, I've kind of gone back to an improved clinch knot. The old fisherman's knot.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I've caught so many nice fish on the jig with that, and it doesn't break. So I don't know. I've kind of gone back to that knot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think people ask me at the shop all the time, "What's the best knot?" I always tell them it's the one you know how to tie.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
if you're proficient at that knot, use that one.
I'd agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Scott Buchard. Tackle tips are so good tonight. He's just throwing. He's hoping that you're gonna give me something to take home to him. Maybe you'll win again, Scott. He won a fishing rod.
He's such a good guy, you know.
He really is.
Yeah, he is.
Except when he starts sending my wife messages. Scott, quit sending my wife messages. Remember, she didn't even speak English. She didn't know what you're talking about. All right, I got to get over here because we're getting so many questions. Let me see if I can find this now real quick. Why don't you guys talk about something while I look for this? I'm almost there.
Jeff, you remember first jig fish yellowtail?
Yes, I do.
That's awesome.
Cortez Bank.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's even more awesome.
Yeah.
We remember the boat and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, Ranger 85.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Cool, man.
It was a great day out there. We were kind of buddy boating around with the Thunderbird.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
How about you, Sam? Do you remember?
14 or 15 or something like that. I was on the Tornado, first overnight trip, and I lost like 6 in a row before I got mine. Yeah, I was so happy.
Oh, I can only.
It wasn't a
imagine.
big one. That's probably why I was able to get it, but yeah, that was a cool day.
You know, you talk about losing all those fish. My brother and I were on the pursuit, and we were fishing for Albacore out of Redondo, and we were in a wide open bite, and we were fishing spinning reels, and there was a fray in the bail, so our line kept getting, and we'd lose every fish, and we lost every fish. And we were like, God darn. And then at the end of the trip, the deckhand goes, here you go, boys, and gave us 2. And we thought, like, oh, my God. But it made us want to go back and catch more for sure. All right, Chad Nickel, I'm getting caught up here. I got spooled by a big tuna on the Torium 20 this weekend. Stopped on a patty and fished the Salis 6X Junior Chrome on the slide. Wow. Man, that was a big fish, huh?
Yeah.
And those old school jigs, right? We talk about knife jigs and we talk about all the other stuff. Those things still work, right?
Oh, yeah.
As
I saw
evidence.
Teddy 9s and Salis 6X Juniors get bit while on the San Diego, April 30th. So put it in front of the fish, they'll bite it.
Absolutely. Frank V. Mondo, it is not a myth. I think he's talking about that Pink Andy. All right, Frank. He's a believer. Andrew says Trinidad. I don't know what that's in reference to because I'm too far behind. Do you know?
Yeah, Trinidad Reel.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Too real.
There you go. My Penn Torque 25N Star Drag not available now. Penn Fathom 25N.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are great.
Ed says, just bought a Shimano 16 with a Phoenix 7.2 axis. How would it cost? I guess how much would it cost? How would it cost?
Cast.
Yes, thank you. I'm a moron. How would it says cost. But yeah, how would it cast?
It casts okay.
Okay.
A little longer rod would probably be better.
David Thompson, Penn 42 speed Hood for bigger tuna.
Yeah, hood.
Okay. Andrew.
Good, maybe good.
Andrew 760. I'm like totally lost now. All right, back to Roger Veal. Are you going to do a podcast with Greg Obi-Mako? Sure.
That'd be good.
Yeah, Greg would be great. I'd love to
good
have
guy.
Greg on the show. Absolutely. We're running around trying to get everybody. Anybody wants to be on this show? I am so desperate for guests. No, I'm only kidding. Yeah, Greg would be great. He's a great guy and outstanding fisherman. All right, Evan Leeper here.
What's up, Ev?
Yo, you guys know him?
Yep, 540 Slinger.
All right, Evan. Thanks, Sam, for always helping me out whenever I stop by the shop with Danny Jimenez.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see everybody at the Surface Iron event this weekend. He loves you too, Jeff. Is he a good guy?
Yep, right back at you, Ev.
All right, so he's coming, so at least we'll have one person there.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're going to have a lot of people there.
And I got to give Ev a shout out. He caught
Please.
a bluefin tuna on his UC 9E.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, on the San
How
Diego. I'd say it was 35 to 40 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah. We were talking about you and I when we were doing a podcast or we were doing a tackle thing, talking about that day they had on the San Diego with 130 to 170 pound fish. They quit fishing due to exhaustion.
Yeah.
That's like a Zane Grey or you know, right?
Yeah.
It is.
It's a
It
historical.
wasn't even an overnight trip.
Yeah. I mean,
amazing.
I get the feeling that some guy is going to tell that story to his grandkids someday and they're going to go, oh,
No way.
BS.
No way.
That never
I
happened.
would say that. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing. You made the point that you leave at 6 in the morning, come back at 6 at night. Normally, you're lucky to catch some barracuda and sculpin, and all of a sudden, we're catching long-range size fish.
Clarion size fish.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank V loves the improved clinch. Thinks it's great. He's with you on that. Me too, because it's one of the only knots I know how to tie. When buying a jig that you think swims good, what the heck do you look for?
You know, I don't know. For me, it's one of those things. There are certain cues.
It's a good question.
Certain cues that, you know, they always talk about offset hips, offset holes, sharp edges, concave back, all that kind of stuff. I think there's been lots of stuff written on it and different, you know, videos and things like that. But I don't know. I think you don't know until you throw it in the water. I mean, and it's gonna make you buy more jigs, maybe. But
certain
you
jigs
really
have
do.
a reputation for being good, right? So you can kind of rely on like a Tatty 45. It's going to swim good, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes from in the early 2000s. You know, we had this thing with, especially with Tatty was probably the one that was, you know, at least that was called out for it. I don't think they were the only ones, but you know, where it was hard to pick out a good jig that swam good.
Yeah.
And so this whole thing started to develop over how do you do that?
I remember that.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, right? And so
But they perfected the
now they've got that kind of figured out. I don't know if that's as big a problem as it used to be.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And so I wouldn't get too caught up in that. You know, you're going to spend, you know, I mean, spend all the time you want at the shop trying to pick a jig, but I don't really know if you're going to find one that's that much better than the other. I think you got to cast it and look at it.
CNC versus sand cast mold. Worth the money for CNC consistency swim? I don't know what the hell that means. Go ahead.
Well, they think that all
That's Mondo, by the way.
Okay, they say the CNCs are all pretty much exactly alike.
Yeah.
Because they're done on a computer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, on a milling machine.
Are most guys doing that now or not?
There's a few companies
Yeah.
that are doing that, yeah.
Who's doing that?
So there's
Steel baits,
steel baits, yeah.
Dreadnought, MW. There's one more I'm forgetting, and it's
There's a
OCT.
OCT. There's quite a few. I mean, so the idea is because of that, right? So if you could take the jig that this is like the best swimming jig ever, and you could copy it over and over, that's what you would want, right?
Yeah.
So those jigs cost a lot of money. So that's the other part of it. I mean, up to like $60 or something like that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. So I think that's part of it too. Is like, well, the guys that are really good don't use them. Why do I need it? Well, they do work. I mean, I've been on many trips where you're like, well, that's a good ass swimming jig, you know. So, but I gotta imagine there's gonna be days where that swimming action that jig has to also be something that a guy knows how to swim it.
Yeah, right.
So it's not, you know, they do work. They do work. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think you have to have it. I don't have any myself. I probably should have some, but I don't. But I know they do work.
Do you have them?
Yes, I have some.
You use dreadnoughts, right? You
I
like those?
use dreadnoughts and I use MWs, the murder weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I'm going to say is an advantage with those, at least what I found, it takes you, the angler, less time to dial in a retrieve speed.
Oh, okay.
That's what I found.
Yeah.
It seems like they just go right into. It almost forces you to hit the right retrieve speed.
Isaac Moran, 540 versus G100 versus Ulua. Pros and cons. Man, we're the best audience in the world.
Wow.
Pushing us in the corner.
These are
Man.
great. Yeah, you're in a corner. Get out now, Sam. Good question.
What do you think?
I'd say out of those rods, the 540 is probably the most versatile.
Yeah.
From fishing light jigs to heavier jigs.
Uh-huh.
I'd say the Alua has the most backbone, plain and simple. And the G100 I don't have any experience with, so obviously I have no opinion.
Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah. Okay, you don't want to get in any trouble. I don't blame you.
No, it's not that. They
I know.
really are.
They are.
serve
They're all
different
great.
purposes.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Roger Beal, great mentor, taught me a boatload when I worked for him when I first started in the industry. Got to be Greg Obimenko, right? All right. Roger Beal, worked for him for a few years. Frank V, Greg is awesome. Met him when he ran the freelance 2 seasons ago on the freelance, took us offshore. Yeah, he's a great fisherman, man, no doubt about it. Roger Beal, might I have been working the trip? Was it when we fished for bluefin?
He might have been.
Yeah, maybe. Yes. Roger Beal had like 45 of them or so. I'm losing the context here a little bit.
Yeah.
Andrew 7. Mad Max are sold out everywhere.
Everywhere.
You know why?
I know.
They're on the Friedman
Yeah,
Adventures
yeah.
show,
Put 'em
right?
there, that's what you got to do.
Did you sell out of all those?
All gone.
You had how many?
I didn't have that many. I had like 20,
Oh, okay.
but they were gone instantly.
Yeah, to
Jeez.
say that day or within
Yeah.
the next hour.
If I would have had 200, they would have been gone instantly.
Yeah, that little thing
Yeah.
we did went to 1,000 views, like
Yeah.
boom. So I mean, everybody
More
was.
coming in, but they told me that we're gonna get a little taste of them here maybe next week. But the real bulk of them, what we're waiting for, probably may not be until like late June or July.
And maybe people that are listening don't know what Mad Max. What is it? You know, well they can go to on Freeman Adventures and see it. But what is it?
Yeah,
It looks like a Marauder,
It's
doesn't
like
it?
a little smaller Marauder.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically the best way to describe it. It's heavy, so it does get down a little bit, and you control it pretty fast.
Yeah.
So that's the best way to describe it, I think.
Dale is a great guy. I thought I was Mr. Baja, you know, and you know, 'cause you know how gringos sometimes are a little bit afraid about going to Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you know, I'm going to lose my kidney down there, and you know all that stuff. It's crazy. So I think I'm Mr. Baja because I will go anywhere. In fact, I went to an orphanage in Tijuana where they told me, don't get out of the car in this neighborhood. It was in a place called La Gloria, and I guess there's some cartel stuff out there. So just to make a long story longer, I pull up, I look at this woman selling tacos, and they said, do not get out of the car. And I looked at her and I go, there's no way she's not like a decent. So I get out and I go, excuse me, do you know where this orphanage is? I got to find this orphanage. I got some stuff and blah, 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 blah. So she gets on the phone. Next thing she goes, would you mind? I've got my girlfriend coming. She'll take you. And I go, sure. So this girl gets in the car. Turn right, turn left, you're scared, blah, blah, blah. Pull up. She goes, there's the orphanage. And I go, hey, I really appreciate it. Hand her $20. And she goes, no. Will you do me a favor? If you come to this orphanage to teach English, will you teach me English? It made me want to cry.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, don't talk to anybody and you run into the nicest people in the world. I understand that, you know. But anyway, so Dale is a gringo. Him and his daughters go on their bikes and ride all through TJ, and they go to this place called Telefonica. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Where they have all this great food and everything else. And I think he's got me beat. But Dale wants to know, that was a long story to get to Dale's. Sorry about that. What are you looking for when you say a jig swims good? What are you looking for? What is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for it to kind of wag its tail or what?
Yeah. Well, it's something that you definitely want to have quite a bit of side-to-side motion.
Yeah.
But almost to where it's in a pattern, and then it'll kind of come out of that pattern and then come back into the pattern. So it's going to be kind of someone like, you know, like this maybe, and then maybe come out. And sometimes you got to find the right speed for that to do that. But that's probably the best way to describe it. But all I could say is that when you kind of know after a while.
Yeah, right.
I wish I had a video to show somebody or a better way to show somebody, but you just got to go fishing more. I mean, you'll get it, but that's probably the best way I can describe it.
And we're not going to be able to show that this Sunday because we're not going to be throwing into the water. But when we come here to 22nd Street, we might be able to see that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
In a future one. So Kai Fish Killer says, for picking out jigs, Jeff, you tell me if this is a good idea. I look for how offset the hips are, how offset the eye tie is. Lastly, if the body is concave, a bit on certain jigs like a Tatty 45. Is all that sage advice? Yeah, you're shaking your head. Yes.
That is something that comes into play.
Yeah. But that's complicated for the average guy, right?
Not only that, I bet you if you looked at 100 jigs, 100 of them would have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't think the human eye is going to pick up the difference. Really.
Yeah. It's the way Tatty makes them now. I think that they're all like that, and you'll find also like other types of jigs, even like the Baby 5X, they don't have as an exaggerated offsetness to them, but they swim really good. So even though that's something we look for, and we've kind of like gone through this whole thing about this is the way we do it, I think a lot of jigs out there swim good that don't have that. So to me, I don't want to go down that road because that's not really what's going to get you a good jig. You know, that's not going to catch you more fish. I think that being observant, knowing where to cast and when to cast, that's what's going to catch you more fish.
Yeah.
So, I'd rather not get too hung up on this. Buy a lot of jigs, look at them, swim them, and see the differences.
Yeah.
And on the day you get bit, make a good mental note of that jig that worked, and then maybe try to look for some similarities there. Maybe that's probably the best way I can say it. But you got to go and you got to get bit. That's the only way.
Did you notice my attire tonight, by the way? Oh, you didn't notice that?
No, I didn't.
You really didn't?
No.
Oh, that's the reason I wore it. You got to yell and point it out to you, huh? How many times do you think I wear pink?
You really wear it every day.
Yeah, I do. Well, it's my nightgown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't afford a nightgown, so we're not making enough money at this thing. All right, let's see. Mondo Redondo says, I never see anybody fish the Tatty AA anymore. Is that true? Is that a...
He might probably talk about a light jig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an old Tatty AA with a fixed hook, and it's a green and yellow, and I love it for fishing calico.
Well, first, they don't make them anymore, so you're not going to see them a whole lot.
There you go, Mondo.
They do work, though. It's a light jig that works really good. You usually got to fish it on a little bit lighter line. It's a great barracuda jig, but you just don't find them. And so I got a bunch of them. I like them. They do swim well. They just don't make them anymore.
Right. Well, and he follows up and says, what would be the best rod for throwing a Tatty AA? So a similar type jig if you can't find Tatty AAs. What's a good rod for throwing that?
But, just lighter tip rod.
Yeah.
So anything from like a UC90 Mega to maybe a 690J. I don't know. I mean,
I was going to say the 690J or even the 530.
530, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
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 Saul, hey, very nice. Thank you, Saul. Really appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you guys. Thank you for all the awesome content. That's why I get great guys on here, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I do know how to ask questions, right? I'm a good interviewer. Scott Grant, Tatty 45 was designed to swim at a 4-to-1 ratio, a.k.a. Penn 500, Jigmaster, Senators, etc. My Daiwa Saltus 30H is a 6-to-1 ratio. Jig suggestion for similar fishing. Gentlemen.
To fish, I'd just say slow your retrieve on that 6
right.
to 1. That's
That's
your best bet.
So yeah, that is true. They were designed around that, but you're probably winding a little faster. You just slow it down. You probably can get it to that speed. But man, the new stuff, it's way more torque. And I'll do it sometime. I have a bunch of old nulls, a bunch of tricked out pens, and all that kind of stuff, and they're fun. It's fun. You go out there, you hook one. After you hook a fish, like a 15 or 20 pound yellowtail, you're like, man, give me my other reel back. This thing sucks,
Right.
As far as landing a fish. But, they're cool. They do work, but the new gear today, it's just way more efficient. It just is.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see a really good reason to fish an old reel.
By the way, speaking of the orphanages that I was going to, we're going to raffle off a reel. What is that reel? What kind of reel is that?
I didn't bring it.
Yeah, I know you didn't. That's okay. But what kind of reel is it?
So it's a hard to get reel that is actually probably the best reel right now for this bluefin fishing we're doing. It's a Talica 20, and they're completely out of stock. And I don't know when they're going to have any more. I'm sure at some point they will. But that is probably the most perfect reel for the bluefin fishing.
Perfect,
You
right?
can't get them anywhere.
We're going to sell 50 tickets, $20 each.
Yeah.
And that's going to go to help me. I've got so much stuff in a warehouse that I can't get it across the border without paying somebody to ship it. So we're going to use that. So anybody looking, like you said, those reels. And it's worth mentioning, Israel De La Cruz. I don't know if you know him. You know him.
I know he is.
Guy comes up here with his kid. They bring clothing, see the bags of clothing to take to Mexico. I kind of created a monster with this. I've got so much stuff, but to take, and then he donates this reel, which he could have sold
easy
and made himself. I don't know how much. What's it worth?
Well, whatever he could pay for it, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I was gonna say that would have turned into a bidding war.
Yeah, easily. You can't get those reels.
Yeah,
you can't get them. So I mean that's a great prize. I mean, and for $20, I mean. That's crazy.
Yeah,
you know?
$20. Somebody's going to win this. We're going to sell 50 tickets. We'll sell them at the park. Probably have the tickets or whoever. And if we don't sell them all there, we'll sell them at Schulb's over there at the after party. So that'll be good. All right, let's see. Charles Zimmer. Wait a minute. Am I skipping somebody here? Let me see. You're looking at all the questions. I'll tell you about these questions right now, Sam.
Piefish killer, yeah.
They're in trouble out there in front, Tony and Janelle. They go, hey, do you think any chance you can get through in about an hour and a half tonight? And I go, I'll try. That's not going to happen.
How long has it been?
Yeah, it's been like an hour and 15. It feels like 15 minutes, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm telling you. Kai Fish Killer, is this true? Newer Tatty 45 molds, more consistent, although there is still some variations. Pick the one you like. We kind of covered that, but go ahead.
There is, yeah. They kind of have like a sharp nose and like a blunt nose.
Yeah.
That's probably the two biggest things you'll see differences. They are way more consistent. And basically the idea is that a blunt nose one or a flat nose one, better slower swimming jig, and the sharper ones are better faster swimming jig.
Charles Zimmer. Charles, stand up. Take a bow. I just thought I'd say that. Charles' family is probably looking at him like, what is he doing? Does it help to tie a loop knot to make the jig swim better? Jeff, why don't you take that one?
I've never tried it.
Have you?
No.
Really? So then the answer is no, right?
The ring's already a loop. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not necessary.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. All right. Andrew, 7. Or no, I'm sorry. Frank B. Have a slow retrieval, Scott. I fish a Newell 322. That's 5-1. Fish the tatties and salads. So slow down, right? That's all you got to do. Andrew, 7. Has anyone caught a bluefin on the DTX Minnow?
Yes.
You have?
I haven't.
Yeah, but you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they good?
You know, last year we had a guy who told me he got 4 of them, right? He's like, I got 4 tuna on this DTX 70 pounders. I was like, sure, you know, because I hadn't heard of anything like that.
Yeah.
Now with this Mad Max, I'm thinking, well, man, I think maybe he did, you know. Part of it is like
Yeah, right.
blue and white jigs, you know, everyone's using them, so that's what they're biting on.
Yeah, right.
I think with the trolling jigs, maybe people just haven't been using them. So, you know.
You mean to catch these bluefin?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally bluefin just don't
get them
on a troll.
Right.
And so now guys are using these spreader bars and the daisy chains and cedar plugs and catching some fish on the troll. Well, these deeper diving jigs, I don't know, maybe that was something we were missing.
Yeah.
But they definitely catch a lot of fish, and I don't see why that DTX minnow wouldn't work just as good, you know. So, yeah, I would say if you have one and you're out there on your boat, I would definitely put it in the water.
These Mad Max, you were saying that they got very popular in Ensenada, right?
Yeah.
You mean the local guys down there were using them, or what?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the guys down there are taking out guys from up here. You know, they travel down there and fish. And so they were bringing them down, and, I mean, it just caught on like wildfire. It was one after another. Before you knew it, those guys were coming up, their passengers or customers were coming up and going all the shops and buying them out.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, so.
And they're probably putting it on social media.
Well, yes and no. They're trying to keep
it quiet.
Yeah, but by the time I got to it, I pretty much got the last drops of it. They were all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard from many other store owners that, some guy came in and bought like 12 of them. And some guy came in and bought 20 of them. Like, what the heck's going on here? You know, but since they're all gone, we couldn't get any more. It was like, well, shoot, I guess we're going to have to wait till they come in again. But, yeah, they're not
How much
available.
are those things, by the way?
Like $40, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but when you spend $40 and you catch a giant tuna, right?
Yeah,
and
big
you can
ones.
use it again and big
Yeah,
ones.
they're getting big ones.
Do the bigger fish seem to bite those things?
Just as good. They're catching everything. But
Yeah.
that was another thing too. We always thought, well, maybe you might catch a little bluefin that doesn't know what's going on yet. But they're catching some big ones. I know they've caught several over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, big ones.
Mondo Redondo. I don't think I've seen Mondo Redondo before. It's great to have you here. Pointy nose versus blunt nose. Preference for the forkies, the yellows. What do you boys say?
Half the time one and half the time the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say it depends on the day.
Yeah.
Really?
Try your luck with both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that, do they fish the same or do they fish differently?
I think the round nose usually likes a little bit of a slower retrieve.
Uh-huh.
Where the pointy nose is a faster retrieve cutting through the water.
Do you ever fish bait?
I do. Very rarely.
Yeah. I mean, if the iron's just not working, you go to bait, or when do you go to bait? When it's just
I go to bait when it means I'm not going to take a fish home.
okay, yeah. But like when you're going to Cortez Bank or something, you got to be fishing the iron there,
Yeah,
right?
I have yo-yo setups and surface iron
Yeah.
setups.
Yeah.
And maybe something with a mega bait type of jig.
And you would probably go back and forth, huh?
Yeah, I mean, tuna fishing, fishing bait. But yellowtail fishing, yeah, I would say 80-20 maybe.
Yeah. You know what? I finally said screw it in the surf. I was die-hard fishing lure, and I've just gone to bait now, just because.
Gotta catch something.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the lure, like especially in wintertime, you have got to fish bait in the surf.
Yeah.
In SoCal, it seems like fish are lethargic and they want to bait. And now I dialed this frickin' sandworm thing in. I've got it frickin' dialed in. I watch these frickin' Vietnamese guys. Well, I didn't watch them. They invite me. They're so nice, and they're like. But, I mean, should I share it? Maybe I should. I was going to do a video on it. But so, you take a shovel and you dig down. You see one of those damn worms. And then you frickin' jump down on your knees and you go to get it. And they're frickin' fast. They're really fast. And they work so good, man, especially spotman. So, same thing. I'm digging the shovel. I see one. I jump down, get it by the barrier at the end. Then it breaks. And I'm like, God, this is driving. So I go, wait a second. I need to go down there on my hands and knees. And just like, you just start going, you go like that, and then all of a sudden, frick, there's a friggin' nest of them. You're just like, I got like 40 this morning. I felt so accomplished. I mean, I graduated with a bachelor's degree from Loyola Marymount. That doesn't mean crap to me. Catching these sandworms.
No, you perfected
really?
that.
Yeah. And Bob Osborne was there, and he goes, "You're the worm king." I'm like, yeah, man. I've finally attained some kind of status in life that I'm proud of. All right, Big Gare had the surface iron grand slam many years ago. Sea bass, yellow, and a BFT. Man, that is cool.
That's a good day.
Old solid green candy bar at the middle. What a day. Yeah, man. I mean, a sea bass, a yellow, and a bluefin. I've never, I don't know. No, right? Let me think about that. No.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah,
Offshore and inshore, that's pretty tough.
Big Gare, that is an awesome day. Rocket Dog, the three amigos. Hi, Phil, Sam, and Jeff. Rocket Dog,
What's up, Jose?
you're the man. You know him?
Yes, I do.
Is he another good guy?
Yes,
You
another
would-
great guy.
Perfect. Is he coming Sunday?
Uh,
Rocket Dog, are you coming Sunday? You can put it up there. Angel Garcia, TAC 16 on a 730 to 50 Super Seeker. What would y'all use it for?
Talica 16,
Yeah.
well, 50 pound, 60 pound. These days it's maybe a sinker rig. Maybe cold snipers are working pretty good. Maybe that'd be a good rig for that.
We got a ton of people watching this show tonight.
I think that would be
Frickin'
perfect
flying.
for a lot of the fishing that those day boats are doing out of San
Yeah,
Diego right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
Put some 50, maybe 60 on it, and try your luck with what other jig you got in your tackle box that you feel confident with. Send it down.
6'6" junior, yeah, would be good.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony and Janelle, get your sleeping bags out because I don't think we're getting out of here at 8:30. All right, Rocket Dog, does anyone... Okay, well, we've answered this, but let's do it again because Rocket Dog, he's just coming out. Do you tie wire to jigs to make them swim better? Is that old so? Yeah, some people still do that, right? But it's old school. New guys don't do that, do they?
No, they could though.
Yeah, I mean, it works good, right?
It's cheap.
For-
Dude, the wire is so cheap.
Well, if you're fishing Wahoo, would you do it?
Yeah.
You definitely
That's what I
wire
do
your
for that.
jigs?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anything else, probably a little overkill. But people think they swim better, man. Can't. Rich. Phil, can I bring my kids to Shoals on Sunday? Or is it, no, yeah, you can bring your kids. In fact, he's dog friendly. He lets people come in there with their dogs, and he's giving them treats and everything else. Absolutely, you can bring your kids. They'll have a great time. They have Dodger dogs there, Rich. So, I mean, if you want to get the kids a Dodger dog, they've got soft drinks and everything else. So, yeah, it'll be great. It'll be awesome. Ricardo Villa, when putting online, do you guys mark the line to help with depth?
100%.
You do?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Once again, with the accuracy, you got to be, your jig's got to be in the zone. So you got to know where you're at. So he's talking about the bluefin fishing.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. That's probably the number one thing I would do before anything else.
I'm sure you used to do this when you're fishing like rock cod sometimes, and especially when you're fishing like chili peppers that are not on the bottom. They're up high sometimes.
Yep.
Take like a piece of paper and then reel it on your. Did you do that?
No.
Oh no. Oh, that's really old school. Yeah, we take like you get bit and then you just take like your ticket or whatever, tear it and wind over it, and then when you drop down again, you go to that piece of paper, wind over it, and you knew the depth at that
I remember
point.
people doing that actually.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember that like it was yesterday.
I didn't do it, but now I know why.
Yeah, you weren't old. Yeah, you weren't that old. How old are you?
I am 40.
Oh, you're a youngster. I'm going to throw you out of here. I got 20 years on you?
20?
Pretty close. I got 64.
Looking good.
Yeah. It's that long, beautiful hair of mine, right, Jeff?
Yep. It's a shirt.
Look at it. Yeah, it is the shirt, that pink shirt. That does it every single time. All right, Frank V. Best way, he wants to know about bait, so we're okay with that. Best way to hook a bait when you're fly lining. Which swims the best? So it differs, right?
I butt hook.
I like butt hook too.
Yeah.
However, like on a long soak, like when I'm albacore fishing, and when you start to wind after 10 minutes and you get bit, a butt hook bait's not going to do you any good.
right.
You got to come up through the and close the mouth, and so it looks normal when it's coming
Shoulder
back.
hooking's become a big deal, and
Yeah.
it seems like that does work pretty good.
Yeah, but that butt hook bait, man, it hits the water and goes.
It's like
"Choom,"
that feeling of it taking off. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and you know you're going to get bit.
Feels like it, yeah.
Yeah, when you feel a bait like that.
Yeah.
How do you like butt hook bait?
I prefer butt hook.
Yeah, you do? All right, let's see. Looking for it to meet. Okay, Rocket Dog. Kai Fish Killer. One thing to remember, not just gear ratio, line retrieve per crank. Also spool size matters too. More so with yo-yo.
Yeah.
Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
You want to make a comment? You can say something, for
I
God's
think what he's
sake.
talking about is,
I know.
the
Yeah.
taller the spool, the faster the
Yeah.
jig is going to come in. But once again, these I don't think there's a difference between a reel that's 6.1 to 1 versus 6.2 to 1 versus 6.3 to 1. It's
Yeah.
not going to be that big of a difference. So most of these reels we're talking about, I think, are the mid-size reel, not like a Trinidad 40 size, more like a mid-range size reel.
Yeah.
And those are all going to have a very similar size spool.
Yeah.
They really make reels in like basically 3 sizes, like a small, medium, and large.
Yeah.
And so the medium reels are the ones we're talking about. Yeah.
Richie Rich says over 70 people tuned in right now, which is a pretty good number. And by the end of this tonight, we'll have 500 views. I'll tell you that right now and zoom up to 1,000. But he's right. Only 4 likes so far. So, folks, if you could hit that like button, we'd appreciate it.
Especially if you actually like
we
it.
want to see. Yeah, I know. Yeah, really. Richard Villa, what reels are the best to fly line a bait for the forkies, the yellows?
I like a smaller reel.
Yeah.
Actually, the Saltiga 20, man, that's probably one of the nicest.
You can flip a bait.
Yeah, super lightweight spool.
Yeah.
Ton of drag, big handle. I think that's probably one of the best reels for that. Trinidad 14, another good one. Torium 14, Saltis. Saltis, actually, they make a super narrow one, like a 15.
Yeah.
That thing's super nice too. Super lightweight spool. But I'd go with the smaller reel. The smaller, in this, like we were saying, small, medium, large, in the small size.
Yeah. Don't forget, May 22nd, I'll be on board the Island Spirit. We have a couple more spots open on that. We may be departing at a different time now because I talked to Cody today and he says, for your group, I think we should get out of there at 5 a.m. But we're scheduled for 6 a.m. I'm thinking we're going to leave at 5, back in at 5 at night, and we'll be focusing on white sea bass. It's out of Ventura Sport Fishing, $125. And if you'd like to go, just send me a text, 657-227. I'm almost going to forget my number, 6459. and I'll get you on board that trip with us. That should be great. And once again, tomorrow night, and this meeting is open to everybody. You don't have to be a member of the South Bay Anglers Club, but I will be the guest speaker. Boy, they must be hurting for speakers, huh? What the hell? I'll be there tomorrow night at, the meeting starts at 7:15, but dinner is at 6, and that's at Hoff Hut in Torrance, California on 23635 Crenshaw Boulevard. You're friends with Matt and all the folks over there, right?
Yeah, it's a good group.
Have you been over there to that?
Yeah. It's a
Is
good
it
group
good?
of guys, yep.
They're not going to throw tomatoes at me or anything?
No.
Oh, that makes it more interesting.
Nah.
Yeah. Did we find out what your most dramatic or memorable moment on catching a fish on the iron was?
Yeah,
Did
we
you
were
mention
talking
that?
about it, yeah.
No, I've forgotten already.
Yeah, lost a bunch of fish and then I caught
All
it.
right.
So, yeah, tornado.
Do you have another? Oh yeah, your first one. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and that was the one you remember.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
being the first one.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, just because of that. I mean, I've caught a lot of nice fish. I guess they all kind of run into each other, for different reasons. I've caught some nice big tuna on a jig. That was kind of cool, I guess. But
Biggest fish you've bounced on the iron.
Just a guess, I'd say 25 pounds.
What was it?
A yellowtail.
Nice, very nice. Where was that?
Cortez.
Oh, me too. I love throwing those fish, man. Was it in the bow or in the stern?
It was about midway up.
All right, that's awesome. Sam?
probably something a little smaller, maybe a 15-pound yellow or something like that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I threw one like on the Amigo this year that was like 15 or maybe a little bigger than that, but that's a cool thing too.
Yeah,
It's a little
yeah.
dangerous, right?
It is. Yeah.
I'm not recommending people do it,
No.
but it's if you're up in
There's
the bow
a real good
alone.
chance you lose that fish if it's a big one.
Yeah,
You
true,
announce it.
true. But sometimes
Oh,
you don't
yeah,
care,
Yeah,
you know?
for bragging rights, I understand why
Yeah,
people do
yeah.
it. That's for sure.
yeah, hell yeah. But you do have to if the jig pulls, you got to be like slapping that jig back down toward the water
Well,
fast.
a couple of years ago, there was a Seeker ad, print ad, where I forget who it was, but it showed the guy bouncing a big yellow. I mean, it was like the most perfect picture, and that ad ran for a long time.
Yeah,
So you see something like that, you're like, man, I want to do that too.
I
man."
know, right? I know exactly.
I think I know which one you're.
Yeah.
I think that was Dwayne Diego.
That was like the most perfect picture.
I think
That
it was.
cool.
Yeah.
Could have been, yeah.
Kai Fish Killer, what you guys think of people surface iron fishing with Alexa 400?
Well, so we were just talking about with Jeff on the boat.
Yeah, Jeff doesn't like that, does he?
Yeah, not a fan. So
The guys, the captains on the boat sometimes are like, they really want to catch the fish.
that's the reason. So
Yeah.
like we talked about this before with gear is, you want to grade it in two different categories: one hooking fish and one landing fish. So, obviously we talk about spinning reels and helping you cast. Well, Alexa 400 or any of those bait casters, because of the advanced cast control that they have on them, they do cast easy. You can give one of those reels to someone who's never fished a day in their life, and
Yeah.
they can cast a surface iron. So it moves you up in the line quite a bit, really easily. The disadvantage is that you don't have as much torque for fighting a fish.
Yeah.
So that's really the only drawback. But they do cast good. I mean, I'm still kind of not a big proponent of it.
Yeah.
But I will say, for someone who is having a hard time casting,
Yeah.
you grab one of those, they'll be able to cast.
Yes.
When you hook a big fish, yeah, you might be in a little bit more trouble, but it's doable. I mean, the reel's going to hold up, but you're going to be in for a tussle, and that's okay. But yeah, that's the one thing you gotta think about is you hook a big one, you might be in a little bit of trouble.
We got 37 likes now. Just because that
you
went
asked for
flying up, didn't
again.
it? Yeah. Yeah, please hit the like button. We want to hit 70. Okay, Abraham, because we're running out of room up there. I plan on taking my small boat to Catalina for the first time very soon. Any advice for the trip and fishing? You guys got any advice?
Be safe.
Yeah, right, Abraham. I would say that. Now, so any advice that we would give you right now would be you got to get your advice. You got to get dialed into what's going on when it's going on. So, for example, right now the island's blown out.
Yeah.
It's windy. Conditions are gonna. I can tell you right now, they suck.
Yeah, they're not very
Water's
good.
dirty. Water's cold.
Yeah.
Surface fish are not going to bite very good in that kind of stuff. So I would say get dialed into somehow what's biting. You can send me a text if you want, 657-227-6459. And when it gets close to your trip, I'll dial you in as best I can.
That place changes.
It changes a lot. But Sam and Jeff, what they said was Be safe. That is such good advice, because that's the most important thing. But I'll help you out there a little bit. All right, let's see. Rocket Dog. Oh yeah, we're way down here again. Not sure if you already addressed this, but are you gents wetting your reels, lines before chucking iron? If so, water bottle, drop down while the boat is getting bait, or just fire it at the yellowtail dry. Boys, what do you say?
Not dry, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely not dry. Depending if I'm going out to a park to practice, water bottle.
Yeah.
If I'm on a boat, I'll put like a 16-ounce sinker on and just drop my line before we're ready to start fishing.
I know it probably sounds crazy, but I'll just grab water out of the bait tank and I'll just throw it on my reel. You're like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, but that works.
But
Yeah.
just
It's still water.
it's water. It's going to be wet out of the ocean anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dave Thompson, I have a Newell 322 with the Tiburon extra narrow frame. What rod would you recommend with that?
I'd say since it's an old school reel,
yeah,
go with the CalStar 90J. All glass.
690J maybe, something like that. I will make a comment on that reel,
Yeah.
being so narrow. One of the things that I think the guy was talking about, inches per crank line retrieve.
Yeah.
When you get a reel that's that narrow and you put a bunch of mono on it and you make a 60-yard cast with 40 pounds, that thing's going to be like half empty. So what's going to happen is you wind your jig in. You can't see the jig until it's 20 feet from the boat.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to be able to judge your speed when it's 20 feet from the boat. Well, the other 200 feet that it's out there, it's going to be going way too slow. So you're just not going to have a good judge. So actually, the wider the reel that you can handle, the better.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Richie Rich, a gentleman, says, thank you guys for what you do for the fishing community. You are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Richie Rich is the guy that got us all these likes.
There you go.
Good job. We're up to 40 now. Keep those likes coming. Frank V, wet it with a water bottle. Tim P, how do we see your charter schedule, Mr. Friedman? Send me a text, 657-227-6459. Send it right now, Tim, and I'll text it to you as soon as the show's over. Kai Fish Killer, I am the same way. Wrong reel for the iron. Frank V, at Dave, 530, 690J.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Unless he was maybe just not looking to fish iron with it. Maybe he was just wanted a suggestion for the reel. But if it was for the iron, I wouldn't use that reel.
Frank V, I have mine on a Shimano Tremor 98. Works good too.
Yeah. Terramar, yeah.
Yeah?
That's a good one.
Yeah, you can tell I don't know. All right, Kai Fish Killer. I think I checked the gear size of 400. Fairly large, actually, but the line capacity will be very low on a long cast and fight.
Oh, we're back talking about Alexa.
Oh, we
Yeah.
are? Okay, yeah.
You just don't have the torque.
Yeah.
You just don't. You don't have the same torque. I mean, that's just what it is. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's a gear size thing. I just think that the small handle. So that reel when you cast, right? It's a counterbalance handle. They can't make the handle as big and heavy as it would be on a regular conventional reel.
Right.
What would happen is that when you go to cast, the handle would come around and engage the reel.
Yes.
So the reel can't be that big and heavy. So it's a lot of it has to do with just the size of the handle. You can kind of beef up, make a bigger handle on it. It might work okay, but it just doesn't have as much torque. You're gonna struggle a little more with fighting the fish.
You guys want to make a prediction on what I'm going to be doing tomorrow morning at 5:30?
Digging up worms.
Yeah, baby.
Worm
Actually, I
King.
got a whole freaking thing full of them, so I'm just going to go out and
sell
get
some t-shirts. Man.
the Worm King, Phil Friedman. All right, yeah, they're in trouble out front there, man. It's past an hour and a half already. It's going so fast. All right, Rocket Dog says Frank V guilty of doing all three.
All three what?
I don't know.
Whatever it is, don't do it again.
Mondo, yeah, don't do that. Rocket Dog, if you're doing those three bad things that Scott Buchert does, don't do it anymore. Any 100J mags in the store, Sam? Mondo Redondo wants to know.
They are not.
They're gone.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah. When are you going to get some? You have no idea when
By
they arrive.
By the end of the year, I guess.
Yeah.
Frank-
We got them on order. It might take a while though.
Frank B says some people also carry a spray bottle with water. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Glenn, adding fish scent on a jig. What do you always say about that?
Unnecessary.
I think it'll wash off anyway.
Yeah. How about any other? Are you a proponent of fish scent at all?
Maybe on plastics, maybe it might stick to it better.
Yeah.
Plastics,
Maybe you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
though, right? You're not sold on it, are you?
I think the idea is that they'll hold on to the lure more. So on a plastic lure, I could see that maybe being something.
Kai Fish Killer, great answer, Sam.
You got it, no problem.
Yeah, right? No,
Sure.
the handle is answer very true.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
You're getting delirious? Is that what it is?
No, I was talking about the small handle.
Oh, yeah,
the
I
Alexa.
forgot.
We're going
Yeah,
back.
sometimes
to the
I don't
left
listen to the answers.
Yes, you are getting delirious.
Yeah, I'm the one who's going nuts, right? All right, Frederick Magana. Freddie, who did such a great video, right?
Yep.
On how to replace your handle on your rod. He did a great job. Freddie, you're the man. You should put your phone number up there in case somebody wants to get their custom rods made. Hey guys, just finished coating some rods, just tuning in.
Awesome.
That is terrible. There's 40 likes up there, Freddie. There better be 41 by the time I finish talking because there's still 41. Freddie, I love you. What can I say? SoCal Fisherman number 7. I have a trip on the Thunderbird departure on Friday. Do you have any idea what I should fish for?
Yeah, whatever.
whatever Jeff Hoffman says that you're going to go after.
Well,
Yeah.
Jeff Markland is one of the most accomplished fishermen. That boat is beautiful. You guys ever fish that boat?
Not the new one. Actually, not the new
Man,
one.
it's
Haven't been on
nice.
the new one either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, him and Jeff Jessup are very good friends.
Oh, yeah.
And they work together.
Yes,
And
they do.
yeah, and so, I mean, Jeff Markland has an outstanding reputation. And he's got a funny sense of humor.
That guy gets them.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yep.
But he's funny on his Facebook and stuff. He's like, all over. And he made that trip down south and fished Hannibal Bank outside of
yeah.
Panama.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was with all those guys. So it sounded like a really great trip. Ren says, I like my Tranx 500. You guys like that reel?
Yeah.
No
Same thing.
experience with it.
That's one that it's a low profile reel, but it's a large one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But same thing. It's a little smaller handle
Yeah.
for the same reason, but it does cast good. That's probably the best of that category of reels.
So Tim P says, which arm do you put your rod under?
My left arm.
Do you use extra deodorant when you put your rod under there? Smell your rod.
should.
Oh, yeah, you should, right? And you?
Left arm.
A gentleman would, yes.
I'd have to think about that. Let's see.
Yeah. So the right way is kind of like, funny looking.
I guess left, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I think there's no questions up there right now. There's 43 likes now. We're loving that. We want to get to 100, everybody, so keep hitting that. So we finally got a little break here. You know what Tony and Janelle are thinking? In the show right now. Yeah, but we're not going to do that. We're going to talk just a little bit more. So novice guy comes out on Sunday. What do you anticipate we're going to do with them? Show them the rods, talk to them about mechanics. Jeff, what do you think? What would you do with a guy that says, I want to get into this, but I have no clue?
I definitely have him pull on a couple of rods, see what feels good to him.
Yeah.
And then from there, set him up with something and work on mechanics. Pretty much try to get him to a point where he's casting smooth. Not, if he's going to start off trying for distance, we know what's coming is the backlash. So just to calmly and kind of slowly get a feel for it.
Just make a nice short cast, do it again,
Yep.
kind of get a feel for it, right?
Kind of build up some muscle memory so as time goes on, it'll just naturally be a longer cast.
Yeah,
'cause
because-
he'll feel better and more natural with it.
Because Sam, when I picked up a 10-foot rod, it's daunting, It's you got to get used to it, right?
Yep.
And once you do, though, there's nothing like it,
No.
man, right?
Yeah.
It is so cool.
It's almost like we need to have like a class, like a weekly class or something. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure that's possible, but it almost
can try.
it almost requires it.
540
Honestly,
Slingers Club, man.
It
They
really
could-
does.
I agree. And we're looking at the docs here.
Yeah.
Like you said, if Mike Morrison doesn't agree, we're doing it anyway.
Yeah. What's
So
he gonna do?
I don't
We'll
know.
beg for forgiveness instead of ask for
Yeah,
permission.
there you go.
We may by Sunday have that date all etched out and be able to put that together and just let you all know when you come down. And of course, if not, then we can mention it here on another podcast. So we'll be happy to do that. More questions. Kai Fish Killer says $10 per backlash penalty. Kai, that's terrible. Yeah. I think it should be 25.
20,
yeah, right? Yeah. What's this $10 stuff?
Yeah.
Who gets the money, by the way?
Your charity.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right. Mondo Redondo, man, he's good questions.
fire,
Mondo, do you guys know him?
No,
You might, or no, you don't.
I'm sure. I don't know him by that name.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Sometimes,
From Redondo, yeah.
So quickly, break down proper mechanics.
Quickly, huh?
Yeah.
One of the things that I tell people that maybe they don't think about, and this is not the whole story, is when you cast, or when I cast, I really focus a lot on my left arm instead of my right arm. So a lot of times you think you're going to push the rod, but actually you're pulling down on the butt of the rod a lot more than you think. And I think if in your mind you think about that consciously, where you're pulling down on the rod, you're going to see that you're going to get a lot more movement or a lot more speed on the rod.
Yeah.
If you concentrate on that arm a lot more.
Yeah.
Instead of this arm, your right arm, which this is the one holding the reel. So you're thinking about the reel and not backlashing. So that's what's in your mind. Obviously, you don't want to backlash. But once you get that down where you're not backlashing, if you focus on your left arm and pulling down, I mean, there's been days where that's all I do, like on a long range trip, you're fishing yellowtail all day long. I'll get like a tennis elbow where it's just starting to hurt because you're pulling that hard.
Yeah, right.
Over
right.
and over and over. So maybe that might be the one thing. And that doesn't tell the whole story, but maybe that might be something you might think about.
Yeah, for sure. The go-to surface iron, mine is a JR1 4 Mint. You guys talked about your go-tos, right?
Yeah.
Well, you
JRIs
might
are
mention
good
them
too,
again.
JRI for
Is that a good one?
Yeah, it's a little bit larger.
Yeah, I was
jig.
going to say it's one of their bigger jigs.
He may have just tuned in. What's yours? Yours is a
Maybe
Tatty
5X.
45, right? And
35X.
yeah, and Tatty 45? Yeah, okay. Derek Van, he liked my joke. Anybody likes my Derek, I love you. Ruben Lopez, when practicing, should I use a lure without a hook or a lead weight, and what size? So and Ruben says, I go to the park. We're going to be doing that on Sunday. So we can use the bubbles, but you mentioned like a tennis ball too, right?
I've done it a couple of different ways. I've cut a small hole in a tennis ball just big enough to get an egg sinker in, and then I duct tape it to secure everything.
What are we going to be using on Sunday, boys?
Well, I got a bunch of jigs that Gary dropped off today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
They got hooks on them though, right?
Yeah, I'll cut them off.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we can do that, right? Yeah.
I've got some from Dreadnought without hooks too.
Yeah.
Okay. You can see how well prepared I
He
am.
also dropped off some A1s. He says you should use those for the casting contest.
Oh, okay.
Those are tiny ones.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
But
that's
that'd be a good test, though.
and that's Gary Kwan from Tatty. We should give
Gary
him a
Kwan.
big plug,
Yeah,
right, for
yeah.
being so generous and helping us
Yeah, that
out.
was nice of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great guest here.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
had
he
him.
was.
Did you see that?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, Glenn or Rocket Dog. Rocket Dog says, let's do classes at Island Fishing Tackle.
Has to be on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say that already? Did I read that comment before? No.
Just right now you read it.
No, no,
Like
I
2
meant
seconds ago.
because the next one I did read, so I skipped him.
Oh.
Well, okay. Do you guys ever use poppers in SoCal waters?
Yeah. Yeah,
For
you
what? What have you used them
Looping.
for? Yeah.
Yeah. But
They were good on all kinds of tuna,
All
actually.
kinds of
I
tuna.
don't know about albacore. I'm sure they
would eat it
I'm sure
too.
they would.
Yeah.
But yellowfin eat them good.
Even I bet you yellowtail would eat them.
I
though.
bet, huh?
I bet you they would.
Yeah, why not, right? I mean, it's creating that commotion on the
Yeah.
surface. And
Yep.
have you ever used poppers for yellows?
No.
Have you caught anything on those things?
On a popper, I've cut some skipjack.
Yeah.
When I was trying for
I
yellowfin.
caught yellowfin. Yeah. Well, what's the difference between that and the bubble and feather?
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean,
Same theory, right?
concept, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. All right. Is the Trinidad 20 good for a CalStar GG90J? If so, then I need a new rod for the Tranx 500. Which rod is a better fit? Man, I thought we were going to get out of here. There's 500 more questions up there.
Get out and fish it and see how you like it. It's the only way to
Yeah.
really get a true. Everybody's different.
Yeah. I think that that Trinidad 20 is a beautiful reel. It's a great reel. The rod. I think he's asking for a rod that would be good for his Tranx 500.
Yeah.
Actually, that rod he has
Yeah.
now seems that'd be
Yeah.
good. Yeah. You know, any of those 9-foot CalStars or United Composites would be good. Maybe you can try a Reaper.
All right. Let's see. Frank V. Trini would pair great, Rand.
Yeah.
Right? Frank V. I have a Fathom 25N on my BT 90J. Roland Middleton. Roland, good to see you, my friend. Looking to pick up a Penn Fathom, either 40 or 60 for BFT. What would you recommend?
Either the 40 or the 60 would be great.
Very
No,
nice.
40 probably going to be.
Oh,
the,
that's
I
what
would
Frank
go
V
with
says,
Yeah,
the 40.
The 60 is good too. It's just a little wider, holds more line.
I think it's casting mechanics. This is Kai Fish Killer. Use your whole body, just like a golf swing. Same with the momentum transfer of casting through the arms. Sam explained it well.
And
This guy likes you.
I think part of it too is you have to be versatile. You know, I mean, you're not going to have a boat all to yourself. You got to be able to cast when there's rods behind you, when there's guys behind you. So, optimally, if you have the whole boat to yourself, use your whole body, and that's going to get you a farther cast. But that's just not always going to be the case. So I think being versatile and trying to cast in adverse situations, I think we talked about that too, making that something that we create, that maybe a couple trash cans, I don't know, something that we set up an obstacle
Yeah,
behind.
right. Are we doing that?
I think
Of
we
course
should,
we are.
because that's
Yeah.
a very important thing, you know,
Yeah.
to be able to cast when there isn't anything behind you. That's great. You know, you should be safe, but sometimes that's not the case, and so I think being versatile is as important.
Richie Rich, how can we get a Friedman Adventures sticker or T-shirts? We got to do that pretty soon here. You got anybody who does that stuff?
Sure do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I've got somebody too.
All right, very soon. I'll tell you that right now. Jeff, I think we're going to try to wind this up. Okay, so we're going to be out there Sunday,
Yes, sir.
right? If somebody wants to join the 540 Club, how do they do that? What's the deal, man? You want to learn more about fishing the island? This is a one-time thing we're doing. Well, actually, it's not. We're going to keep doing this stuff together, all three of us. But if somebody wants to join a club where you focus on that, what do they do?
Walk up to me. They say they want to join, and they're in. Simple as that.
That's easy. And there's
No
no,
hazing and then.
no, there's no hazing? No?
You have to be in the club for about a year, then we'll start hazing.
Oh, perfect.
We
Perfect.
take care of the new guys.
Perfect. I got to switch my thing here because I got to give a Patreon thing away tonight.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. Rick Middleton's here now. He's not going to let us get away with this quite yet. Oh, wait a minute. Kai Fish Killer. I'm sorry. True. I have learned how to cast from my left hand over the years, although I am right-handed. Roland Middleton. Wish I didn't live 5 hours away so I could attend on Sunday. All your advice is worth gold. Thank you, gentlemen. Roland, thank you for watching, my friend. We really appreciate it. Roland, have you hit that like button? Is it going to go to 4? Hey, somebody make it go to 46. And guess what I'm going to give you? The next guy that goes to 46, if you can prove to me that you hit that like button, I have got a nice sandworm that I'd be happy to give to you. No question about it. Roland's already hit the like button. All right, you want to do a Patreon thing? We're going to give away, we'll give away an Opson 40 and a Tatty lure. We'll give away, and there's a jig bag like there, isn't there?
There's a bag.
Is there?
I don't know. It says Bucket Brothers or Bucket Boss.
I got to spin this. All right, we got one winner. You ready?
All this?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, not all that.
Not that.
Just one of those lines. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And the winner is Angel Garcia, which I think maybe Angel Angel Garcia. That's, I'm choking to death. Angel Garcia, our Patreon member. Should we give one more?
Let's do it.
All right, same thing, right? We got 2 of those, don't we? We got 3 there, don't we?
Here.
All right, let's do it.
Another roll.
The
of
next
fluoro.
one is Cruz Soto. Cruz Soto. All right? And one more, the same thing, right?
You got it.
Is anybody writing these names down?
Cruz Soto.
Have to go back and watch the video.
Not really. And the final winner is Travis Strain. Strainer. Yeah, I love it. All right, let's, are we going to wrap this up? Let's see. Big or small, we catch them all.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
remember that one. Yeah, that was a big or small, we kill them all. I remember a lot of guys saying that. Just kidding. Let's see. Whoa, look at all that fluorocarbon. The guy was very impressed with that. What do you all use, if anything, for thumb protection when making lots of casts? That's a good question. Asking for a friend with a desk job who burned his thumb before.
Water.
Water?
That's why you don't want to have maybe Spectra. I know they have some
Yeah, they got that thumb tape.
little thumb.
Yeah.
Thumb tape maybe.
You know, I used to use that kind of stuff for
Yeah.
calico bass fishing,
Yeah.
or when you rock guide commercially.
You're gonna burn it because you don't wet your line.
Right. Rocket Dog, congratulations, guys. Yeah, congratulations to our Patreon members. We really appreciate it. I use a Band-Aid, says Derek. Yeah, that would probably work,
Probably
right?
work,
So, guys, are you excited about Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And where is it again, Sam?
At the
I'm just testing you.
Long Beach Casting Club is what you want to Google. Long Beach Casting Club.
And we won't actually be at the casting
club,
club, but we'll be adjacent.
When you get there, you'll see us.
Yeah, we'll be jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Running all around. Jeff and Sam, two cool dudes.
Right.
Man, we have the best audience in the world, man, because they accept all my friends.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. Exactly. Yeah. All right, we're still not out of here, okay? Let's see. Great show. Keep up the morning reports coming. See you guys Sunday. Any gophers to whack? Maybe. Scott Grant wants to know those morning reports.
Extra points if you get one.
Accuracy.
Who screwed me up on the morning? Oh, the other day, it was Mother's Day maybe. And I was going to take, I go, you know what? I need one morning off. I'm going to take the morning off. And Jeff
That
sends
was
me,
me.
he sends me these freaking giant picture, and I'm like very thankful because sometimes I'm running around, I go, Jeff, you know what? You motivated me to go out there. I couldn't pass on that, man. I always get cut in the creases of my index finger, LOL. Yeah, no kidding, man. It hurts too. Freddie Magana, Phil, I would like to donate a 90J for Sunday's event to give away to a lucky angler.
Wow.
Are you
That is
serious?
crazy.
Freddie, you're the man. I'm telling you.
Hard to get.
Yeah.
I don't have any
Really?
at the shop. No.
Freddie, thank you. So that'll just be
Man,
a free
that's awesome.
raffle. So
Yeah.
we're going to have that paid raffle, but we'll just hand out raffle tickets to everybody in attendance.
We're already going to have a bunch of people. Man. Oh, now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That'll send it over the top. for
Yeah.
sure.
Freddie, thank you so much.
Freddie.
Thanks to Freddie Magana. Freddie, put your phone number up there.
Yeah, man.
Freddie Magana wraps rods like you can't believe. You can see his work or just the way. I mean, Freddie's such a likable guy.
Cool dude.
He's a great kid.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a
I
great
think
kid.
he's C. Sicario on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. C. Sicario. But how do you spell that?
SEA underscore
Yeah.
SEA underscore SICARIO.
Yeah, and if he would not be shy and put his phone number up
Yeah.
there so everybody can see it, Freddie, and then I'll read it out so people will hear it later on. All right, we're still not out of here, boys. I'm trying, okay? Now we got another great gift. This is going to be so much fun. We'll draw that at the restaurant, right?
That'd be good.
I think so, right? Probably.
Drinking contest? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll outdrink you on coffee any frickin' day, man. Let's see. Kai Fish Killer. Try to thumb side of flange of spool instead of the line, right? Les Burns. Dave Thompson, love the show and all the great advice and breaking news. Yeah, that Albacore news, man. I'm telling you, that freeway,
Yeah.
that big hard edge rolling right into the fly, man. The butterfly bank's going to go off with Albacore in about 10 minutes. No, it's not. But who knows? Hopefully something will happen. I saw Sam today and fished with Jeff on the San Diego 2 weeks ago. William Chansey.
Hey, what's up, William? Hope to see you Sunday.
Dante it's a Spanish last name, Loaiza, right? Loaiza. Dante Loaiza, thanks for all the great info you give out, guys. Dante, thank you, man, for tuning in. Rocket Dog Freddy is an amazing rapper. Yes, he is, right?
He is.
I've never heard him sing before, but
No.
I do believe he's probably a great rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 6, wind this up. Get it. Angel Garcia, he won, didn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was one of them, yeah.
Thanks, Phil. Al contrario, thank you for watching, and we appreciate it. All right, folks, I think we're out of here because
Good.
they want to go home up front. As always, we thank you so very much for tuning in. Go over and see Sam at Island Fishing Tackle in Carson, California. Honestly, you won't get treated any nicer in any other tackle store. I know there's a lot of great stores out there, but this is one of the best I've seen. Sam, thank you. It's always good to see you. And join the 540 Slingers Club with Jeff. And of course, we'll see you all on Sunday. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. And once again, I'll be tomorrow at the Hoff's Hut in Torrance, California. Come on by. I'll be speaking at about 7:15. So you can eat dinner at 6 and then get out of there before I speak and put everybody to sleep. Hey, thanks again, David Thompson. Shout out to Hector's Custom Rods. Night, Sam. Danny Harrison.
Good night.
Best bow of best bow, and it just went away. Best bow of sport boats. Malahini's got.
I'd say it, Melanie.
Have you ever fished a Malahini?
No, we were talking about the other day. I got to get out there with
That bow. Yeah, you do. Did I send you those dates?
You said you did. I couldn't find them.
Oh, I'm going to kill you. Like the reel you were supposed to break. Hey, folks, we'll see you soon. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Freedman Adventures, and once again, for my 2 outstanding guests, thanks so much. We will see you again really, really soon.